problem others, they transmit tons of stuff.
Exactly. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal, but let's just see. There's a direct jacked right in. Oh, that's not. What's up, Patrick? Can you hear us, Patrick? Awesome. So, Patrick, it looks like you and I are playing in the same Carlos game, huh? New Year's Day? New Year's Eve? New Year's Day that night. Awesome. Very, very cool. What's up, DM? What's up, Dave? It was Scott Fry, Wally Hobbit, so it's cool. I think Chuck's hopping in that game too. I think we're gonna have a sixth. I know. Do you know when are you playing in Carlos's game?
On the 7th.
Oh, you're playing like the last one. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was the 7th. Yep.
Well, I always go for the Ranger in Carlos's games because of his old school style, but the guy below me, he's like, oh, I really want to play the Ranger, so I'm not sure. I may be a nice guy, I'm not sure yet. So, because Carlos doesn't do specialized fighters. What's up there, Mike? What's up there, Ro? What's going on, everyone? Thanks for hopping on tonight. I got Anna and the ever-mysterious Tim tonight. Hey, Drake. Drake, I invited your buddy Chuck on, too. We'll see if he hops on. We got some Troller Games giveaways tonight. So, Scott, what's going on? Yeah, everyone's saying hello tonight. That's awesome. Yeah, it sucks about Blue Box didn't play today. So. Yeah. What else does Chuck have to do? Oh, he was complaining to me. Hopefully I don't get him in trouble. He was complaining to me in, hey David, in Discord about being drug all over the place today. He said wives. As long as it's only a cold there, Gary. Hopefully you're fine. So. Am I gonna hit a wrong button? I think I hit a right button there. Hopefully not. So that would really suck to get that, especially right this time of the year, right at Christmas. That would really, or in the holidays.
Yeah.
That would really stink. So let's see here. It's going to be one of those abstract discussions tonight. Hopefully I don't bore you with a lot of my campaign talk, but I think I'm gonna pull into our campaign a little bit more tonight with this, because it's got some personalities in there and some conflicts. Hey, Cannibal. Troy, when we come on, I'm going to discuss your generosity there, you and Canadian, what's going to go on tonight, giveaways, which is cool. Super, super cool. So we got, thank you there, man. Thank you so very much. And take what I say, I really appreciate it. We got 3 streams in the next 4 nights. So we're on tonight, tomorrow night instead of Thursday, we're on Monday, and then Wednesday is Legends of Lore, and we'll have giveaways all night, so we've got some holiday stuff. So, yeah. That'll be cool. Oof. Yeah! definitely. Some kind of fest. And tomorrow night's this, Infinite Dimensions. I'll show you at some point what their giveaways are, and we're doing sets for them. I think one is called the oh my gosh, let me pop this up. The 2 sets that we chose here, and they'll be on the scroller on tomorrow night's game. Let's see what we got here. I should go over this. So we're going to be giving away the Ancient Cemetery bundle set and the Medieval Slums bundle sets tomorrow night for the 2 winners. So, and they're both really cool. I'll picture them. Yeah, we got, you know, Bill's illness put us like 2 weeks behind on getting stuff on the table, but we got some, I got 3 Infinite Dimensions pieces that are done in its entirety on my, I'll show tomorrow night, that are on my table. I'll show you them tomorrow night. Yeah, they are freaking awesome. Can't wait to get this stuff. But all their other stuff is fantastic too. Really, really nice. So you combine it with Gamescape and Infinite Dimensions. I got 2 great companies. So. Which ruins, Coma? Oh, you mean the ruins for Gamescape? Yeah, Gary, that's the, so when we get this Kickstarter, these STLs, the first thing we're doing is the arena. Because, you know, it's like Greyhawk, you know, the Greyhawk arena, that's the first one we're going to do. We're going to get that one out because, you know, so... So those ruins were part of their Patreon, and I can as a request say, hey, next month's, because we just did Gamescape on Thursday, so for their giveaway next month, if you want those general ruins that we printed out, we can do that. You can get them on their site too, and they're not that expensive. I mean, he's really inexpensive on his STLs. Really, really. Now I missed my cue here to call out my which button. How about this one? So. This is one of those nights where, yeah. Here. There you go. I hit the wrong. See, I went to link something and I hit the wrong button because I hit the Gamescape. Wait a minute. Give me a sec here. There you go. This is called, this song, and by the way, this is all you know, Dark Fantasy Studios, and I own the rights now to about 400 of his songs. And this song is called "They Fought as Legends." So there you go. Yes. We're going to do that, Antiquitous. We're going to do that. We're going to have another 3D print Gabbin probably in January. So, yeah. Promised. You don't know what, so the worst thing as a streamer is to worry about copyrights of music. It's by far the thing that can get you permanently banned, especially on YouTube. Twitch too, but YouTube. And I have peace of mind now that I know I own this guy's library of music. And it's fantastic. In fact, this song's called Shimera, like the monster. Oh, thanks, Patrick. I want you all to share with me some ideas too on published source and maybe in your own campaigns, rivalries, because you know I'm going to do some that I use published source canon in my game. It's cool. This guy, I mean, I'm telling you, it's a fantastic library of music. So, all right. Tim is on, but he's not on, so he's hiding, but he'll be here. How much time the song has left. Oh, it's got 30. We'll do it. It's got 38 seconds left. We'll go to the end of the song. Hey, Tim, Enoch, what's up? I had it on the loop. Duh. Good evening, everyone. I'm J.K. Lorkazumba. How are you? Tonight we have hidden from view, but he was on. He was eating and finishing up his business. The ever mysterious DM Tim and the great Anna Meyer with me tonight.
Hello.
Hey, Anna.
I hope the TV in the background is not too disturbing.
I don't hear it.
Okay, perfect. Good.
All right.
Then I don't have to close the door.
Yeah, I don't hear it, so we're good. So, you know, we've had all sorts of bizarre, like, what is that noise in the background? Click, 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 click,
Yeah.
and then there's not, you know, it's not going out to Zoom. I mean, it's not going out to Twitch. So if sound's bad, if something's bad, please just tell us, and
Yep.
we'll
Then we can try and fix
yes, we'll try and address that right away. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming on. I'm hoping everyone's is starting off their holiday season, or you know, today, this weekend, or whenever, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever it is. Look, I know he probably wouldn't want me to say something. I'm going to. If you didn't see in chat on the Blue Box's Discord, his wife is a little ill, so John, I'm not sure what he didn't have a stream today, so just keep John and his family in your thoughts, okay? You know, kind of stinks to have it during this time of the year, but just to know that we're all pitching for her. You know, she's such a great player of Cade in that Sunday game, and you know. Yep. We just want to, you know, wish her the best. So, you know, we went through it with Bill having it, and you know, it sucks. So, hey, what's up, George? So, okay, rivalries. So I was, and I was thinking when.
Yeah, what were you thinking about?
What was I thinking? So,
yeah,
I'm like, you know what? There are a lot of characters out there, and deep subject, exactly, Mike. See, Mike just summed it all up for me.
Yeah, but it's a good. I'm usually the one that come up with topics, so this is cool that you came up with something interesting here.
Because
really.
Thank you, Mike. Hey, what's up, Tom? Yes, yeah, it does stink. Yeah. So rivalries, you got characters, and and to put some depth, and I'm not saying that everyone knows. What's going on in my mind? Everyone knows I stream my guys playing D&D. I don't stream theatrical presentation, right? My guys have the little role play aspect in it. We had a lot of like discussion on last Thursday, but we're not a theatrical presentation. But there doesn't mean that there's not stuff going on, right? There's not character interactions going on. And one of them that goes back 40 years, I think I'm good at setting up antithesis within parties between NPCs and party members, and then I'm good at stirring the pot of PCs against PCs. And I think that's something that you can utilize in your games. And I just wanted to see. I wanted to discuss both those in published source in Greyhawk, and I have a couple, and those in my campaign, and just explain where they came from and how they developed. And Anna, if you got a couple published source, that would be great. Tim will be on, and Tim is part of a couple of them. You know, going all the way back to the 80s. You know, we've had our fun time with this, and see Gary with the nice jokes there and busting on Mike. The rivalry of all versus civilizations that use toilets. So that's pretty funny. So some quick announcements. Let me set this up. We're gonna have some holiday giveaways tonight, at least 2. Okay, and I want to thank Cannibal Eridar, which is his name is Troy. His generosity is that of as well as Patrick's Canadian Ancient Gamer, and we have some really cool. He contacted me in Discord and say, here, use these, and he purchased. He got on his own, and thank you 4, and I'm going to give away 2 tonight. And 2 on Legends and Lore. $25 gift certificates. Whoops, I just did that. One sec, disappeared. To Troller Games store. So did that start up? Yeah, there we go. So yeah, isn't that awesome, Patrick and Troy? And then depending on how that goes, I think I may, to be festive, I think I'm going to give away a Village of Hamlet tonight too, with a Lord Gazumba mouse pad as well with it, and put that in. So we'll probably do that as a third. And this is a reprint, by the way, okay, from Canadian. So we'll have those to part with tonight. And yeah, they're $25 gift certificates to Troller Games' site. So there you go. And if Chuck is out and about, I told Chuck if he would, if he's around to come on too. Some other quick things. We almost have, and I'm working behind the scenes, Anna, feverishly. For GaryCon, we almost have 24-hour coverage. Almost for 4 days.
Okay.
Almost in streams. Yep. So I have 4 open slots, and that's it. And I'm doing this from memory. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Thursdays open. 6 to 8 a.m. on Friday. Midnight, this is all Central Time. Midnight to 6 a.m. and 6 to 8 a.m. going in Friday into Saturday, and that's it. Everything else is covered. So I got really some late night and some crazy early morning stuff, but there's one day one. So we're trying.
First one, yeah. If you don't find anything else on the first slot, you said, then I can sit and do some mapping or whatever. So
okay. Because Mike Disney kicks that off that morning. He's got a Greyhawk painting session.
So if you have something that is not between like 2 and 4 in the morning for me, then I'll.
Well, you and I have Greyhawk After Dark every night.
Oh, that's
that's at midnight my time, but it's only at 9 yours. So
So I might stay up 2 hours more or something like that to cover something afterwards. We'll see. Yeah.
But that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to the whole thing. It's going to be.
I think so too.
Yeah. So all right. And then I'm going to talk about at the end of the show. I'll talk about the fundraiser event too. All right. So when it comes to canon ones, one comes to mind right off the bat, and I don't know if I scrolled by it right away. The Rivalry, and it's kind of like, why did it happen? This is the one I just maybe someone has a theory on it, but that is the Circle of 8 Rari and Tensor and Autoluke. Right? So you're talking about, man, that's a hit, right? Exactly. Yeah, that is such a hit job. And Autoluke gets permanently killed, right? And Tensor supposedly is permanently killed off, but you find that there is a clone of him on Luna. Is it Saline or Luna? I think it's on Luna.
Yes. Saline, Luna,
Luna. It's on Luna in Return of the Eight, so you're able to get him back. So, well, it's not Flyers Islanders there, DM. Man, we hate the Penguins now, man. Sorry if any of you Pittsburgh people out there, but I hate Sidney Crosby. But in the old days, it could have been Flyers Islanders from the '80s. But So Luke is so. See, Gary, I love that. If you want to hop on, you can. If you can't, and you're feeling underwear, that's fine. But so I never got that from Luke. I just thought he was the head of the College of Wizardry, right?
Yeah.
I just thought he was there.
Yeah, but it seems like the arch wizards, or like the really high level wizards, have a more rivalry than others in a way. But it's also part of keeping their spells and their magic knowledge and stuff secret. So they seem to have more than the usual reason to be rivals, so to speak, and to be kind of accomplish and learn and stuff. So yeah.
So
and they seem to go crazy too. So which means that kind of takes part in being.
And I don't know if it was Sargent just wanted to really mix things up at the time, but Rary's like almost as high level as Mordenkainen, right? And Mordenkaine's technically not a part of the circle, and it just and then there is the conjecture now because of returning for expeditions to the ruins of Greyhawk, if Roblar was the real Roblar or not, but it doesn't matter which way you believe it. But Roblar helps kill them both off. It turns out that they kill off the Circle of Eight a lot. I mean, the Falcon series, they kill. It's just
that's what you probably need to do when you can kind of put up these kind of shakers and movers that they're high up and mighty that might screw up the whole world, so to speak, and then you have to bring them down again. So I can kind of understand why they do that. You put up a lot of high level NPCs and stuff in order for them to die. You need to, like in a good movie or book or whatever, you need to have enough antagonists in there so you can kill off a few to make a good story.
That is true. And one thing that I've noticed is that in From the Ashes, and I've always said this multiple times, I thought that they killed off way too many characters, but then again, Carlos says, and he's kind of right, when one disappears, that makes room for another.
Yeah, but it's not like George or Martin that kills off, they go frequently.
Yes, or Ari Salakar, who kills off no one, so...
Yeah, we have the... Greyhawk might be in between the two extremes.
So and once again, as a DM, you can do anything you wish to do. Now, in my campaign, no one's ever gone after Rary, and he's still out there in the bright desert. And that's okay with me. It's just, he's kind of a non-factor. We need more deaths. Listen to you, Josh.
But also when it's a game rather than a book or a movie, that means that you need to leave more antagonists for the players to deal with and the DM to deal with. So that means that you can leave more than in the movie. You have to... That's the whole script. But in a tabletop role-playing game, what they offer you to start playing with is just the first page, so to speak. That's the set to start the story, which means that there should be a bit more antagonist than there is at the end of a book or a movie.
Yeah, and two things. So Gary says it's cooks, not sergeants. Okay. Which maybe it was Cook's influence there, and then Mike says, the Circle of Eight die all the time. That's absolutely true. They get, like I said, in the Falcon series, the Falcon deal takes them all out. Also, what is it? Is it Fate of Istis or Vecna? They all get killed again. I mean, it's like they get killed over and over again.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's like, it's greatly exaggerated.
But I guess that is also part of the fact that most adventures and stuff need to include the highest characters and something that happens to them, to the iconics, because that makes its story more interesting to diehard Greyhawkers. If you just reinvent new nobodies from nowhere, it's not as much fun. It's like movies, sequels and stuff need to have the same heroes and villains and stuff that the audience have seen before. The recognition factor is large, huge. And that's part of the rivalry. You can't have a rivalry with someone you doesn't know.
That's true.
The better you know, then the more rivalry it takes time for rivalry to build, so to speak.
Very, very true. And I have to have had time. 40 years?
Exactly. I would say your campaign is ideally suited for rivalries because it's gone on. You've even have generational rivalries among your player characters and stuff, which is, I think, almost unheard of. I've never had that situation in my games because there have been a campaign and then another campaign that is in the same game world in the same time set, but the characters are different and there's no connections between them.
So Gary puts out the Key to Land. Yeah, Gary puts out Keywish versus the Kedites, and But
Yeah.
but does Keeland touch? Yeah, I see Keeland versus Furiandi more, and I'm going to tell you.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why. And I wish there was an official Kiowish knighthood like there is Knights of the Heart, Knights of the Watch, Knights of York, right? But I'm gonna explain to you why here, because my main family of humans, the Winchesters, are from Keeland, and they're from Rushford, which is right, and Anna's put it on the map.
Yeah.
And they have all joined the Order of York because there technically isn't in a Kiowish knighthood, and it's just the way the game has gone. And I see, you got what? Furiandi is part of the furthest reaches of the Great Kingdom. Is that correct? Furiandi Valuna?
Oh yeah, they are kind of joint. They can almost touch, but that was back when. Imagine the rivalry between Keeland and Valuna was much stronger when Keeland was much more imperial. Had the whole valley was part of Keeland, so to speak.
All right, yes, XL. I'm going to show you something. You just nailed it. All right, now first of all, these Winchesters, they predate the Winchester brothers from Supernatural by 20 years, okay? Even though Supernatural's 15 years old. Right, Tim? Yes. Yeah. All right. Old. Here you go. You were dead on. I'm going to show you the little joke. All right. I got it in big so you can see it. The Winchester family tree. Charles IV, Emerson I, Winchester. Get the joke? There you go. So...
Charles Emerson Winchester from MASH.
Exactly. So you were dead on. So this is, and we'll go back to this. This is the Winchester family tree as it exists. There's Tim. We'll go back to this a couple times, but that's it as it exists in my game now. And I get to use this a lot tonight because, Bill won't be on to say anything negative. So yeah, XL, you were dead on, man. That's, in that time frame. Let's discuss a cool mashup. See, you take stuff from Pop.
But let's go back just a little bit to Keeland and the
Yeah.
Kedites. I would see them more as an animosity and more than a rivalry.
To the Keeland and
the Kedites.
Oh, and the Kedites. But why is that?
Well, it's a cultural thing too, meaning that they are competing and probably fought more wars and stuff. I would see a rivalry doesn't necessarily have to be antagonistic, really. It can be. I think.
Do they share a border, right?
Yeah, they
that
used
to.
No, the Grand March borders it now, right?
Yeah, exactly. They used to when Keeland was at its peak. It involved both Bissell and Grand March and the whole valley. So then Ket and Keeland shared a border, and then Keeland kind of shrunk down, and the Bissell and Grand March, and all the satellite states became independent, and that's when
neighbors usually never get along. The countries that share a border are always fighting over something.
See,
yeah.
Gary just educated me, and this is going to be good for Wednesday night's discussion too, because we're going to do turmoil. Wednesday night's Legends and Lore. We're going to do turmoil between crowns.
Yep.
To the glossography, the 1980 glossography. So hopefully that's the right shout out there. So I did not know that they occupied and had Crusader Knights up in Ket for 40 years. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so
Ket, during the war, that Ket took the large part of Bissell and stuff, and there was fights, and that's when Thornwood was invaded and divided up and stuff, and there have been rivalries and hostilities and stuff before then too.
Yeah.
Back through history. Yeah.
Very cool. I like to learn.
It seems like countries from different, little separation, they seem like they'd be more likely to be rivals, for natural resources in a third country than the neighbor of two countries. Two countries together, they're going to have much more animosity, less rivalry, more animosity, I think.
Yeah, it depends on, and also if there's no big external enemy to bring them together, then they squabble a lot. So to speak.
Yeah.
But if they have small countries that have a big common enemy or rival or someone that's threatening them, they will stay put, and small little issues don't matter much. And then when that big ugly country goes away, then they start squabbling again like crazy.
So Antiquitas brings up a point in real life, and Tim, your dad always talked about this. Rivalries are like a fun play to clans of Scotland, and your dad always told us that the Campbells always were on the English side, and that pissed all the other clans off up in Scotland. I remember at the table he would always talk about that. And Campbell was like the largest clan, but they were they always allied with the English kings.
They probably had the most vested titles and lands.
Yeah, good point, Antiquitas.
There's always something to win by gaining up with a bigger neighbor and do it. So
very, very good point in real life. So there's a lot of great where provinces of Keelan 300, so they share the border. So the most soup, absolutely. Yeah, chat's going by fast. I'm trying to keep up with it. Thank you all for another great. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have one example of an interesting kind of friendly rivalry, and I'm thinking about the Fellowship of the Ring. You watch the movies between Legolas and Gimli. You have an interesting rivalry that is very friendly, but still very much a rivalry, and it's played out. So it can be friendly, sporty, so to speak, but still serious rivalry that kind of affects the party or a campaign or something. So they can add a lot of fun. You can use it as a contest, meaning just like they did, like who can kill the most orcs or something similar.
I just put my clan motto in there. Clan Scott, we love SCOT from the clans. So here's the thing that translates. If you look in the Dungeon Master's Guide, or the book is a Player's Handbook, where they have the racial chart, it says A between elves and dwarves, antipathy. Now that didn't have to translate over to Greyhawk and to Gary Gygax's thought, but I guarantee you that's where it comes from as Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, definitely.
100%. You know, that's where a lot of those racials, Tim, do you agree with me on that? Come from Lord of the Rings.
What are you talking about?
The racials between humans and elves and dwarves and all.
Oh, the antipathy versus neutral. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, what else would be the most informing culturally?
Yeah. Right.
I don't think there's anything else.
No, there's not. But that's where he didn't have to have it that way, but he decided that was his basis, right?
Yeah. So, well, I think it also seems logical.
Yeah.
I mean, logical based on the description of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and fierce, violent oppressors versus free-loving good people. I mean, that's a natural antipathy right there.
Yeah. And I think we also have to take in consideration that the Lord of the Rings were basically the only fantasy around when Dungeons and Dragons came to be. Now we have tons of other references, ideas, and stuff. So back then,
I think was the only. There was a lot of short stories, and there was a lot of other but they were all little snippets. I think Tolkien, he believed in being the sub-creator, where he didn't just want to give you a story. He had to plan out the history of everything involved, and then gave you the story based on all this history.
Yeah, I mean, he world built in a way that no one else had before he did. Yeah.
And so it was the most complete picture of cultural types, I think, as far as fantasy goes.
So I'm sure that's where Gary got a lot of his, and Dave Arneson and stuff. They got a huge influence from there, picking their races and stuff.
So let's stay there. In my campaign of 40 years that Tim has been around in that whole time. And let's stay there and talk about the dwarves.
What about the dwarves? Yeah.
Well, and Mike, I know when Mike and I first started talking, he's like, Mike said, your Prince of Ulick sounds like a real dick. So let's go to this one, and that is the Prince of Ulick. And Walt's, one of his most powerful player characters, Schlemmin Meal, his high-level dwarf, 13th level fighter. And there is a rivalry and an antipathy there that's major, going all the way back. And hey, well, listen, we support Tabletop Notch, and Tabletop Notch supports us. So please, I love Tabletop Notch, Neff, so throw us a follow. Everyone here, I recommend they go to Tabletop Notch's site and follow them back. So what a fantastic group of Brooklyn, New Yorkers, and their game is a wonderful 5e game. So it's on every Sunday. if you go back to when I had the wars with Sea Princes and Keoland, the two Ulick states, the county and the Duchy of Ulick, fought with the Keolanders, but Principality of Ulick stayed neutral, and no one could figure out why. And it goes into a lot of in depth on what happened, and I've had some writings on that are actually in the Earth Journal about it. But it pissed off a lot of Tim. At this time, it's only Alan, Tim, and Walt playing. This is like 1980. All right, this. So I am freaking 13 years old.
I think Flormond was that was like Lord Flormond era.
Yeah, that's a Skeeve and Lord Flormond era. Yeah, this is like when we were kids doing this. So this is 40 years ago, and one of Walt's original characters, Schlemmen Meal, was a dwarf, and
Schlemmen Meal was a character made back before Walt and I met you.
Yeah.
So we're talking like I was in 3rd grade. It was like one of his first characters he ever made.
This character goes back to like 78 or 77.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, a lot of things happened that just didn't make sense, and the prince kind of played both sides, and that happens a lot in real politics, right?
Well,
sometimes it's like Jordan in the original first Iraq War.
Countries all the time have to
sure,
because they have to kind of hedge their bets a bit because they don't know in the beginning which side will win or whatever.
And especially in this, he might have relatives in one country and the other countries involved, so he's got people on both sides. And he may have interest, and so there may be agreements with people like, you'll never attack us, and he's like, all right, and now he's stuck where, well, I can't get involved. I want to support these guys, but I already have a promise not to attack. There's all sorts of political reasons aside from him being kind of a jerk. I mean, he probably, you could easily create a political reason
absolutely
for not being favored or not helping somebody.
True that, but I gotta push things, right? So
well, you DM is your job to push them forward. Nothing happens. Yeah.
Schlemmen Meal was always somebody who outclassed him personally.
Yes.
Individually. And if he's the kind of leader who has some ego issues and problems, and this is true of any even real life, they have ego issues, it's going to come out all sorts of ugliness and ugly ways and stupid ways that don't benefit anybody. And that's how he seems. He seems like he only looks at people who are capable as a threat to his plans and glory.
And you're absolutely correct. And that is, I think, before he gets his senses, I think Thorin Oakenshield in Lord of the Rings is the same way.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yes, he does.
Yeah.
Well, dwarves, I mean, we underplay it in our game, but dwarves do have a greed problem.
Yeah. It's
culturally greedy. Yeah. They are greedy culturally, and that's a problem. Yeah. But we generally have far more enlightened dwarves generally. As player characters.
Yeah, it's so funny in the Gord books that Gord shows he found a magical dagger and he wants to have it kind of know what kind of magic and how much it's worth. So he goes to a dwarf, then he shows it, and then Geller would have said, "And you showed that thing by all things to a dwarf?" and it's so funny when he said that was the dumbest thing he could ever do because that dwarf will like the eyes open and he almost tried to murder him to get the dagger. So there's it's
my first character that I had ever made and got killed, by the way, by my dad DM. It was I think we were in B1 or some other little dungeon, and we came across a dragon carcass. So the dragon had been dead for a while. It was kind of dried. There was still a lot of treasure there. All the greatest stuff was gone. And so we had just walked into the room. And we're like, wow, look at all this. Well, some dwarves happened to show up and they're like, "You're not going to take our treasure." And they just started attacking us because they thought we were going to take their stuff. And that's how my elf got killed.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah.
By dwarves.
Darn dwarves.
Wow. So I made this magic item called the Servant of Clangeddon, which is a semi-artifact battle axe. When the Varnafane story came out and From the Ashes, I tied that into one of the 6 legendary axes of Varnafane and kind of backwrote the story. So when one of the adventuring parties way back in the day recovered that weapon, the Order of Ulick said to Schlemmen, "You should give it to the prince." because it's technically the prince, you know, the prince's weapon. The prince, in turn, because he hated Schliemann so much, gave it. And here's the prince, as you can see, with his arms crossed in the crown. There's a picture of him, his miniature. And then the middle character, that's Horkar the Magnificent, his champion. That's his name. He gave him the servant of Clangeddin to show up Schliemann, which pissed him off even further. So, you know, you just tie in those kind of things to the campaign. And there's been antipathy there since then. So yeah, Tim... you got to have some fun. You got to have some fun with it. And to this day, it goes on in the campaign still. And as Brian Blumklotz points out, and he points out a very important thing that a lot of people, like I, missed. Technically, the Order of Ulick, with all their fortresses along that river, are interlopers on the prince's terrain without his permission. Because they really didn't have permission to put them there. Never got it. I mean, you know, the Order of Ulick's recognized by the County of Ulick, the Duchy of Ulick, and Saline, but not the Principality of Ulick. So there you go. So there's a little antipathy there.
Yeah,
there is.
You got to play the. You got to. I was just gaming out in my head how we could fix it. That's all.
Well, there's always rumors that the prince is going to attempt at some point when he sees a weakness, is going to attempt to not overtake, but what's the word when you claim land? He's going to lay a claim to the outpost number 1, which is near Thunderstrike, right? At one point, he's going to attempt to do that. And that would be, if I'm really in a foul mood over a long period of time, I may run that. So, yeah. And next, thank you, Dave. Duh. You know, there goes my Ivy League education.
Claim eminent domain.
Yeah.
Is that another one?
So eminent, it could be, but I'm just saying, I have that ace up my sleeve.
Hey, this is my land. I haven't granted it to you, but guess what? I'm granting it to my friends here. So please clear out in the next.
Well, now there's how many fortresses along? There are 6 fortresses along the entire length of the Jewel River.
He could be correct. Like, this is my land.
So that would be a good one. That would be
need to clear this out. And of course, then you'd have to like engage in a discussion saying, look, we've invested tons. We'll move, but we feel like we need to be compensated for some of this the service we've done. And you could argue that and have some lawyers get together and draw up a contract to or we'll move, but we want titles and property and
you have to bribe them in order to
can you imagine though, because you have outpost number 1, outpost number 2, Wales Castle's the main Order of Ulick keep. You have the White Tower, Herbie's keep. You have Winchester's Bulwark and Warmonger's Tower. So you have,
or we could be like,
you have a whole bunch of
come and take them.
Exactly. I think that's what would happen in that case.
That would be bad.
So if we get back to published source, here's another one. And this led to the downfall of an entire nation for the most part, and that's the Knights of the Holy Shielding against almost everyone else.
Yep.
Right? So, Anna, why don't you talk about what happened in the Wars of the Holy Shielding Knights a little bit?
It's kind of interesting. I think the writing that Sergeant and I forgot who else were involved in that time, and it was the banded kingdoms and Horned society banded together before the Greyhawk Wars and attacked the Shieldlands to kind of dry them out and to expand the banded kingdoms a bit and probably kind of divide up the territory between Horned society and the banded kingdoms. And then the Shieldlanders asked for help from Furyundi and didn't get it. So then when just afterwards Ayus was invading, and then the Shieldlanders, when the Furyundi kind of offered their help, they said, "Oh, you didn't help us last time, so what the fuck don't get to do it this time?" So they so it was something like get even, and that was the one of the issues that kind of led to the downfall of almost downfall of Shieldlands, how you see it, so to speak. They and also that was part of it. The other part of it was that Shieldland was run by an old kind of person, old Homer, that was kind of not really probably in touch with and fast enough in his reaction and kind of wanted to downplay things and stuff. So he was not really effectual. So I think it was a mixture of things there. So
So I, once again, take this and I further develop this
Yeah.
into, there are factions within the Order of the Holy Shielding who believe in the Homer way,
Mm-hmm.
and they tend to be more the lawful neutral ones.
Uh-huh.
And the ones that, Katerina Walworth, his niece,
Yeah.
and they tend to be the lawful good ones that are accepting of this outside help.
Yeah.
And that tends to be the tension that runs in between the within the Knights of the Holy Shielding itself. So
That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and that's how
Yeah.
that's another, with the other things I have, we have the Foltis people in there, the Iusians, some Order of Ulic outposts in there, and two aspects of the Knights of Holy Shielding actually going up against each other, and that tends to be
Ah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So because
Yeah.
I see that, Anna, because if they
Yeah.
did it then, they're prideful and arrogant. Why not? Why would that change? You know what I
Well,
mean?
for me, it changed because IUs basically almost wiped them out.
Okay.
He kind of went in, and after that, it was no question where the enemy was, so to speak. There was no, and since 3/4 or 80% or something of the original Shieldlanders that were around, and especially all the old stubborn ones that held castles and land inland in Shieldlands, that were the ones that, oh, we need to defend our little turf, so to speak. That weren't, they were the ones to really got wiped out because they stay put and was not smart enough to retreat and into Furundi. So that kind of took care of the one thing, and the other one was that there was a leader in waiting, so to speak, and that was one that Belivor and in my camp. Now I'm talking my campaign, not now we're not talking canon or anything. Now we're talking my campaign, or I'm talking my campaign, and that was so because I realized that these makers and the top ones, so to speak, they saw what's coming, so they needed to start preparing, and in my campaign, that is King Belivor. He's old, but he still kind of has his wit a little bit. So he realized that he wanted his flank secured, so to speak, after all when the shit was going hit the fan in the Shieldlands. He wanted to bulk them up a bit, and a lot of his nobles were not interested, so he seeked help from outside, and early on he got help in the form of from Arkail, the golden dragon, and Saline wanted to support secretly, so to speak, so without openly. So what they did was that Arkail placed his own daughter as being in human form, so to speak, and as a noble, and got the Homer's brother and his wife to adopt her. And she's young. She's like 25 years in human terms, but she's like 250, 300 years old. So she's been around for a long time, and a golden dragon. So she was actually, and so they got her to be emissary of what the leftover government in Chendel, to be sitting in the Furundi court, to be the emissary, and then she was the cousin of Holmer, so to speak, even if only adopted, but very few people knew that. And she was very charismatic, and she's trained for years, so she was a paladin and stuff that way, and a Bahamut and Peeler and stuff. So she was kind of ready to take over. So Belivor sent her to help, and she kind of brought things in, and she brought the other kind of key thing. She had cash with her. She could buy
money's always a good
support
thing.
And also she could buy, and simply told poor people that were destitute and refugees and stuff, come here, we will feed you, we will give you a place to stay, you will have a roof over your head, and if you're willing to fight for the good, so to speak. And so she started doing that, and now 15 years later she has built a good cult, so to speak, around what she's doing, and she's kind of rebuilding the Shieldlands. So it was a bit of high politics and some thinking, and also some other stuff going on, and also that a lot of the naysayers were wiped out. So it was only the young ones left, and now there's a new generation coming. It's like almost 20 years ago, so that means that there's thousands of young troops of Shieldland knights that are now getting their feet wet in battles, so to speak. So that was a distraction or tangent.
Dragons as humans, we won't go, but
Yeah.
So I love that, and no one, not even my players, not even anyone in the stream Thursday night, I thought someone would pick up on this, one of the Cannoneers, but they met a gold dragon on Thursday night
Yep.
and didn't even know it.
Yep.
The party.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep.
A little
Yep.
tidbit for anyone who wants to look into the stream from Thursday.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is really cool. But I love interacting with Greyhawk dragons and silver and gold dragons in particular.
Yep.
So
they're prevalent, and that's some of the stuff for my players now that will be part of my campaign, so to speak. I haven't met anyone yet, but they will probably.
Awesome. So Tim,
Yes.
let's go another direction. Halflings.
Personal character rivalry.
Oh yes, Kitano, right in published source. Kitano, come, that's how I am. I'm tricksy. Halflings, and you've all heard me say
Mine
this.
is best.
And Anna's actually met the one we're going to talk about in the fundraiser, the first annual fundraiser. Tim played Leuven
That's right.
that night.
Yeah.
Leuven the Late Fingered.
Yep.
Now, I played this up because that's what I do. Everyone knows in old school, straight thieves are the quickest to go up. And when we're talking about high levels, now druids go up very fast to 12th and then they stop, really. But halflings go boom, thieves go boom, boom, especially if they get 10% bonus.
Yeah, they have the best
Easiest table.
XP table. Yeah, easiest of all.
Yeah.
I think their life expectancy isn't that long, so to stay in that career for long term is unusual.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But so Leuven was one of the original 4 of the groups when Tim DM'd. It was I had Hawk and Gazumba, Leuven and Fensick. That was the group, and then we had whoever else joined in. They joined in. So I got to play those characters while Tim was DMing. A lot of it was an ID or wherever. We had some fun back then. But Leuven's always one level ahead of Alan's character Sam, which is ripped off right from Lord of the Rings. He named him Sam. I don't think he has a last name.
And Sam, and he was made very, very early too, but just separately, right? He was made early on in you guys. Before I met you.
All right, so if we go to the first generation characters, it's, and I don't count, we count the Monties, right? Pete Moss, Florman, Skeeve for you and Walt, right? The next generation is Elijah the Third. Sam, he had Sam and who was this other character in that group? Herbie, okay. Sam and Herbie, right? Okay. And then so you have Murdoch and you have who's your other one? Gosh, can't remember who your other one. Yeah, and Mark was in there, but that's generation 3 because I forgot Fensick, Leuven, Hawk Gazumba is generation 2. We're talking generation 3. So Leuven comes from generation 2. Sam comes from generation 3, roughly.
In Jay's world, because Leuven was one of the first guys I made. So we kind of joined in the late 70s or early 80s or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I always had it that even when Tim was away at college or in the military deployed or whatever, that Leuven would be, when Sam would go up, I make Leuven higher, one level higher on purpose.
And it really didn't come to, Leuven was already really high level before you started doing that. They both were really high level.
I know. But I did that just because I wanted to create that rivalry between both halflings.
Which is, the rivalry is more Alan just wanting to, maybe, just because it's fun to I want to be higher level. It's fun to make a deal out of it. But when those two are together,
right,
their rivalry is who can pick, it's less about picking pockets to get money. It's more like who can plant something on somebody. So then it's so they do all sorts of particular rivalries on who's better at sneaking or thieving or whatever. But when they team up together.
Yeah. So do you remember we talked during our Magic Legends and Lore discussion about having magic shops and why I don't have them anymore for the most part? Sam and Leuven are the reason I don't. So I had in my Highport campaign, this is pre-wars. So we're going back into the, 85, 86. that era, you know, before Wars box sets come out and you're running on first, you know, running all our old school stuff. In Highport, I had this really arrogant potion and alchemist guy who would charge exorbitant prices, and no matter how difficult I made it, yeah.
And in Highport, Sam had started a thieves guild there.
Yes, which that
right?
goes
In
on to this day
conjunction
too.
with another one of my
Skeeves.
characters had a demi-human thieves guild as well, but they were more like
Rival
partners, less like
Thieves
rivals.
Guild?
Yes.
Huh?
A rival thieves guild?
They were less like rivals, more like partners, because they were basically good people against the evil force.
In Highport. They were trying to infiltrate and turn Highport. And this gets into another rivalry where if you've here, and I'm going to flip this out, that showing that this you know, shield that you made, and I said I had to have the lightning bolt on that shield.
Yeah,
that's the Lord.
Struggled with that. For
yes,
and we got it right. Yeah.
That is the Lord Page, who has his own estate outside Highport, and he beholds to no one. And that is
true.
Yes, that is true. So he's chaotic neutral cavalier with someone you don't want to mess with. But they ripped. They had stuff that I had to deal with for a decade. They got potions, like 100 potions.
Jay did not make it easy. I mean, he had a legit place, and the guy, of course, secured it against all comers.
Magical traps, against ethereal,
all sorts of stuff.
It's just.
I mean, I don't think they were as cool as when Skeeve knocked over the magic guy. I think he knocked over a potion guy too. And he framed the assassin lady at the same time.
Right, absolutely.
I thought that was cooler. But Sam and Leuven just kind of two little hobbits using their skills, using a few magic items, came to this giant safe, and Jay had made this safe almost impenetrable.
But you managed to get in and steal.
Well, someone had a wand of metal mineral thing that has crystal brittle. I forgot. And crystal brittle.
And then we just hit it with a light hammer and broke it.
See,
crystal brittle.
This is the great thing about playing with your friends that I hope you all appreciate. You can talk about these stories like they just like over drinks, like 35 years after they happen. Right.
It's a way to build rapport without actually being in real danger.
Exactly. And that's what happened. And so that's why I don't like having magic shops anywhere in my games anymore, because
that's not fair, Jay.
from those repercussions. But so there's a friendly rivalry there between those two halflings. Now, if you want to go to a third rivalry, and I've talked about this, Sam, something bad happened. We won't go over the details of it because I could get me on a 30-day ban on Twitch.
Yeah, he was a bad assassin lady, did bad things
to both of them. Sam fled Highport at the end, leaving his thieves there. And one of them was a chaotic neutral dual class cavalier who lost all his lands, right, because he was an idiot. Thief. He went from cavalier and dual class to thief because he had no choice. Named Lord Darius, the deposed. Well, Darius swore revenge on that act, and now, all these years later, who is the guildmaster of the Thieves Guild in Altamira? Darius the deposed, where Sam lives, and he's plotting revenge on Sam to this day. And I let him know it every now and then. So there you go. Have a little fun.
Maybe Leuven will show up. Take Darius down.
There you go. So you got to plot these long-term things. So that's a good one.
When you can think about it, it made sense for Sam to leave Highport. He wasn't really part of Highport. He wasn't ingrained. It just seemed like a cool thing to get involved in. We both got assassinated. We both had parts cut off of us. We got resurrected later, but we got
yes.
It was not a good scene, but an evil assassin lady. So it makes sense for him to hightail it. But when you think about what are the second and third order effects, you can go like, hey, well, everyone, all those who look to him for leadership are abandoned.
Yep.
Well, how are they going to take that? Some are just going to find new bosses to join.
Some of them
are going to take it real bad, and that becomes their big motivator. So,
especially a chaotic neutral character who's Yeah, who's a fallen cavalier as it is. So yeah, that's how I played that up. That's a great rivalry that goes on to this day. And as a DM, you can create plot lines that are a couple years old,
You
long, or
argue
a
it's
decade.
antipathy, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's antipathy there, definitely. So just have fun with those long-term plot lines. And
Yeah.
that's another thing why I am not bashing anyone. This is not a bash. I don't get why streamers end seasons and end a campaign. I just don't get it, because I think those, like, you run Storm King's Thunder. I'm just using it as an example. I've never played it. I have no idea what it's about. You run it and then you play it and it's over. Then those characters are done. That's not. I want to keep those characters in the campaign.
Yeah, I agree with you, because a campaign, if you look at a military campaign, it's a giant amorphous big movement. Well, okay, you run some characters through that. Well, that is just one little snippet of the
whole world.
entire whole
Yes.
thing. You can start whole new parties in this same campaign at a different place and time, and it continues the story. And so you don't have to just like cut it off.
So speaking of cutting it off, Patrick, think of what you would not want to have cut off on your body, and that's what they. And she did some worse things. We won't go into it because I'm trying to keep this PG rated as much as possible.
Dirty, nasty. It's not hard to imagine. People.
I understand that, but I think you could always incorporate that into one huge campaign. I think that's what Pathfinder has done, kind of, with all theirs. Their paths and all kept it in. So, yes, not your ear. So, canon. There are some other canon of fun ones. This one. I run multiple groups through Sea Princess campaign. Easy just starting a new ship and crew, but same fleet. Exact, Mike. It's the same, but it's in the same. That's different. That is you're in the same world. The other group exists still, right? You may use them as NPCs. You may react them. They may be hiring the other group. Exactly. That's the point. Not it's over. It's disjointed. But I understand in the streaming world, there's different rules too. You gotta. It's a different.
Well, maybe in streaming, maybe sometimes they want to get rid of their players. They want to end the campaign.
Will, you're absolutely correct, and I'm blessed that effect. You are absolutely, but you have your Wednesday night group who seems to be sticking around that you can do that with too. I'm blessed to have all my friends going back. Like I said, 92 is our rookie, and that's Bill, right? Tim's 80, Walt's 80, Alan's 78, Marco. If is 83, Tom is 86. So there you go. Right. So I don't jinx it. Exactly. I just brought that one up. It came into my mind because I've never played any of them. All right. This one I don't use in my campaign, but it is definitely a rivalry and antithesis. And that's the Knights of Luna and Yolande, Lady Ralta, Saline, and the From the Ashes set. Right. So the Knights of Luna are completely against her policies. Now, I'm bringing up something I don't use to show that I can still relate to what happened in published source. So you have Luke's character, Melf, has created the Knights of Luna, and he didn't know he really did that. In an interview, we discussed that, and he said, someone else did that. But Melf has created the Knights of Luna to go against the policies of isolationism. Also, the Corellan's Arrows, which is a mercenary group that's in published source, that's in From the Ashes in Greyhawk, which I use, is also against her policies as well. So Thunder, that's true that they showcase, but that's why I showcase what I do, but I like to showcase the whole campaign. So, what does everyone think about that? Do any of you use the Knights of Luna in your campaign at all? I don't, because I have the Saline Sasfarsh Night's Watch instead. Anna, do you have them used?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I use them, and since you got me pointed to Corellan's Arrows, I'm going to use them too.
Cool.
So I will use them as two different sides of the coin, meaning the Knights of Luna are mainly diplomatic and on the spy, so to speak, on the covert scene, so to speak, and the arrows are more the ones when you need military muscle, so to speak, and do it. So I will kind of say that they're partially, and then you can have a little bit of a rivalry too, and you can have kind of a friendly rivalry which methods are the most effective, and they can kind of try and beat the other one at the game and be the most effective in promoting Saline's interest and help out friends and stuff, and to thwart foes in different ways.
And good thing, Anna, I have, but you can convert them to your Pathfinder too. But I have them all written up levels, so I can give.
Okay.
I
wouldn't use them as classes per se. It's an organization, so to speak, that bring in whatever specialties they want, so to speak. So for
can you enlarge that window, Jay? They just popped up, the Royal Noble Houses of Saline.
I can do better than that.
Yeah.
All right, because it's not. It's kind of fuzzy.
Switch. How's that?
There you go.
Old eyes can read that.
All right. So if we go to this, I have created an entire sub culture within Saline, and I've talked about this on Saline episodes, but these are the 10 noble houses of Saline. Of all the members, it's about 50% PC, 50% NPC. It's called the Saline Sus Forest Night's Watch. That article is in a previous Earth journal. Michael.
Is the Lady Ventura in there somewhere?
Is Lady Ventura in there? Yeah, she's under Lesser Houses of Saline.
All right, very good.
Where the heck is she? No, she's in the Greater House of Saline. Now I got to go back. She's in here. I promise. I promise you. She's in here. Let me go preview update.
Actually, right there in Pendrell, Cerastus is my character. He's a half elf.
Yes.
He is pining after the Lady Ventura, who's a full-blooded elf.
Yes, and now I can't. There she is under Cartris. Baron Desley, Lady Ventura, Sash, Murdoch, who Tom is playing on Thursday and tomorrow night is in this one, and Verlinwin's an NPC. So there you go. So we'll come back to that.
Well, that was a little side note I made on my character about him having unrequited love, because I was doing a Cavalier and I wanted him to have that true, epic thing where it's unrequited love is one of those things where he's just pining after this lady and trying to win her favor, and so Jay took that note and folded it back into the fabric of the campaign.
And that's all right. How's everyone today? We're doing good. We're doing good there. Hyloth 000. All right. So a couple things. I lost my train of thought there. I apologize because I'm trying to keep up with chat. Sorry about that. So Thunder, we finished that 2 weeks ago. We finished that the week before, and it does because every single time I run an adventure now that I can, I'm having Anna add the location to the map. So it's creating a larger world in the Wild Coast area. I have this I'm going to run next in that area. Okay, this is the next adventure for the Narwhal group, Verdant Rage, Castles and Crusades. Okay, I'm going to run this next, and that's going to be in 2021 early, and then for that group, whenever we do that group again. And so thank you for that question. And then Tim, you brought up also the Saline. As far as now, Anna and I, two things. Anna and I, our campaigns, our Shieldlands is completely different from each other, which is cool. Our Saline
not
is
completely.
Not completely.
I've stolen things from your.
Okay, and I've stolen things from yours too.
Yeah, see that perfect. Yeah.
Saline though is completely different.
Yes.
Saline is way different in our two campaigns.
Yep.
So Mayan is a city state. Thanks, thank you, Patrick, for that. That's cool. Thank you. Where we have a structure, and I didn't steal this from the Dark Elves. I kind of did from D3, thinking, why wouldn't there be a hierarchical structure with Grey Elves? To explain why is Lady Ralta Yoland the head of the Saline, right? There's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
So and for any feudal type arrangement in the entire world, that they would have families that do that.
So there is estates, and they're all on the map down is placed. And these are the 10 noble houses of Saline. These are all Grey Elven estates. I have Grey Elves in my Saline. So, and these are as names are added, we add them. I add them onto this list. They have to come to me. The players have to come to me ahead of time with a reason why they want to be in one of these 10 houses, and I will approve that. There is a lot of tension between the houses, and there's a lot of even more tension between the lesser houses and the greater houses. So if you look here at top, Gestrul is Gazumba's house, and Padomil is Hawk's house, my two friends there. And also Cerastus, yours, Tim, is Pendrel, another lesser house.
Right.
Springus is another house where Tom the Vindicator's kids from, all the way down. So there's other ones that are unnamed. So I try to just to elaborate that a little bit more on that question.
I think that tension is because the lesser houses want to be not lesser,
right?
And the greater houses, when like anything that ages, and you get one or two generations of fools in charge, and you suddenly are no longer. Your name is a greater house, but you have no money and no lands because you've lost them all because of your bad financial management. So,
yeah, I let players. Yeah, if your question was players instead of layers, the answer is yes, absolutely from the greater houses. And the tension here in the rivalry here is that, and if you know, also in the Saline Susfarish Knights Watch, there's only 12 members by charter. They're only allowed to have 12 members of this knighthood. And there's a strict structure of how it goes, as far as the noble houses have so many, and then the lesser houses have so many, and then there's one that's an honorary member who's actually a human for the See, this is where I differ from the isolationist part. There's a human that's part. He can be from Welkwood or from even the Gnarly that is like the honorary member, and so I forgot to put that list up. I have that list here somewhere.
Well, elves know that human can't live that long, so he's going to be gone,
right.
Just a blink of an eye to them.
So in the world of elves, I try and layer some political intrigue into it, right? And that's what I was trying to do with that, as far as a little bit of a rivalry. And it happens in the groups, too. It happens with the player character sometimes when you get a player character from a lesser house, and especially if it's an NPC. And this is where we're going to go. Any of you who watch Blue Box, I'm going to go back to that screen and I'm going to explain something. Okay. If you look on here and you go down to Thorndale, okay? And I don't know why I don't have her on here, but she should be here. And Ashrin, his NPC character, that is actually a character in my campaign. So if you go to Jasiah, Rael, and Chantel on this list under Thorndale, they are all her older sisters. Ashrin, yes, Ashrin is the fourth sister that I added. I guess I forgot to add her into this. She's the fourth sister of those other three sisters. Now, Jasiah, and if Bill was on, he was going to talk about it. He hates Jasiah more than any other elf in the campaign because Jasiah is an arrogant, uppity gray elf, right? It's like the gray elves are the best thing. And she's also a member of the Order of Ulick. So she's joined that order because she couldn't get into the Susfarish Watch because there's only so many open spots. So there you go. So is Ashrin, does John play Ashrin uppity? Possibly, yeah. She's got her ways about her. But Rael and Chantel aren't like Jasiah in my game. So there you go.
Well, yeah, I think he did actually, because I know he can correct this if I'm wrong, but I think in the beginning she kind of was taken aback by a half ogre, or taken aback by how some of the interactions went with some of the characters, and that really set a lot of the player characters against her because she kind of had an initial visceral reaction that was kind of not in line with their free open-mindedness. It's kind of how that's how I recall it.
Okay. And the cool thing is that Ashrin, hey, John's free to do whatever he wants with that character. I was like, here, have her. But that's how we tie in our campaigns together. Is that I gave him, and the whole story behind Ashrin was, I think she's 170 as a gray elf. She's either 160 or 170, and her father said, "You're not going out adventuring just like your sisters till you're 10 years older." And she said, "No, I'm going now." And then she left because she was too young for Grey Elf, right? Because all her sisters waited till they were 170 or whatever it was. So that's how the kind of the storyline behind her. So Yash talked. Well, so Steve, that was a Anna and I both have characters anagrammed in right? Anna, you have one too that John anagrammed in his game as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think you do as well. And Yash Talks is my name mixed up backwards. Everyone knows that. And he's a smooth womanizer.
Well, he was taking some serious heat from them as well.
Yeah, but I can, it's all right. I kind of humored by that and appreciate the shout out for that too.
You know, I think I was thinking about it, unrelated to any of this idea of this topic. I was just thinking about. I think there's a temptation or there's a tendency, and it may be wrong, but when you're playing just one, you have one character in a campaign, a single character. They play together for a while. Just like in reality, you form a bond, and it can be cliquish. It can be a clique or clique, or however you want to call it. And so anyone coming in, any little thing becomes a big thing because they're outsiders. And so it magnifies any little thing to set the players against them. So because they all are close, this guy comes in, he has one little thing or that strikes them as funny, and then they just latch onto it. And so they will bash a NPC good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think that's just the flavor in the campaign because they're so close. It's hard to get into that shell of people they totally trust each other.
Yeah, and I think that, Tim, I think you bring up a good point, meaning rivalries should be fun and have a comical side and
exactly
side to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we go to this group here and we go from left to right, the one with the green of the sword, that's Jassia. She's a priestess of Sol Northalandera. The next one is Rael. She's a fighter cleric, and she worships Hanali Solnal, the god of romantic love and beauty. And she's usually in the Vespi, but Bill has a character, Jonar Doombug, who's a half-orc who's in love with Rael, the Grey Elf, right? And he plays it up pretty well. And Jonar and a lot of his characters hate Jassia because Jassia is like, you are never being with a half-orc ever, right? The older sister saying, no, it's not happening. So there's that little tension there. And then Chantel is the one with the bow. She's an our priest of Sol Northalandera. And then the fourth one, that's Bill. That's Tom's character, Sherry, the Mystic Fighter Mage from House Springus. So I threw a fourth one in there. Ashrin's always suspect, but he can play him however he wants. So we got some really cool tensions going on in Saline, which I like. I like that. I like to have tension. I like to have rivalries. I like to have. If it's just adventuring, and you're it's not real life, right? There's tensions between people. We all know that in the D&D world, in the Greyhawk world, in the last 15 years, right? We all know that. So yeah. So how, Anna, is your lady? How is your Yolande in your game different than mine?
She used I tried to accommodate into, so there used to be isolationist, and that I took it simply because elves live so long, so it take a while for them to absorb what happens in the rest of the world, meaning that all these squabbly humans that change their mind every 5 minutes, that was kind of going a bit overboard. But then they starting to realize that the world is actually changing and things are going bad, so they needed to do something. So what they did was that, and Yolande said she didn't personally want to change her mind right away. So she did in secret, and she also didn't want to rock the boat too much. So she sent out her brother Melf and to send out to start getting the feelers out and to start doing the diplomacy and help all the good ones and so on and so forth.
So you have Melf as her brother.
Well, whatever, I forgot which relation, but yeah, so
okay.
Exactly, yeah. So they're siblings or cousins or whatever it was. I forgot. It's written down somewhere, but I haven't used it in like, what is it, like 5 years now, 6 years. So but they're close related, yes. So Melf is a prince, so he's in line for succession, so to speak. So that means that she needed to tie him in, and he's more of a hothead to want to go out and kind of help good actively and whatever. So she got him to to set up the thing, and she will play the kind of official politics as usual. And so they changed in secret what they did first before they announced anything. And then they realized we need to build alliances, we need to help the good ones. So they reached out to Foryundi, to Shieldlanders, and to Beluna, and even to Nyrond and Iron, yeah, all the good forces that were still around, so to speak, and say, we are now a force to be reckoned with. We want to help you, and we want to support you. And Saline also have another alliance, because elves are aligned with the Fae in my world of it, so to speak, and so are dragons. So they have, one of their powerful allies is Arkail, one of the Bahamut's protectors and disciples, and one of his 7 golden dragons. He has a lair and a castle in Saline. So he's one of their advisors, one of the protectors of the country, so to speak. And he was all in on it, saying, we need to do this. So he also sent out, that's why they got his daughter inserted into the Shieldlands as one of the spearheads, vanguards of this. And that was like early mid-war when they did this. And now it's starting to pay off, like 20 some years afterwards. It's starting to pay off. And what they also did was to reach out to all the other elven realms, the Ulex, and say that now we need to strengthen. We can't go squabbling and be small little fiefdoms, whatever. We need to recreate the old elven empire and become a political force in the world. And they were kind of, they kind of liked it. But the dwarves in Ulex, so what they did was that they helped the dwarves in the principality of Ulex to bribe the Keellands into giving them the right to be a kingdom. And that way this Instad or Saline actually helped to create the principality of Ulick, became the kingdom of Ulick, and retained the name of Ulick. And the other parts, the duchy and the county, became provinces in a greater Saline, together with a whole bunch of other provinces, forming the fairy kingdom and they have an elven name for it too, that someone else had actually invented that name, and I took it from an Earth journal, I think it was. And then, so Saline is now one province in that greater elven realm, and now the Ulick is now the kingdom of Ulick in the south, where Dwarven controls, so to speak. And Saline helped, they bribed the dwarves to help them to bribe the Keellands into accepting this, to get a stronger elven. So now the elven realm there is large, and they're also in close cooperation with High Folk and the elven realm in Vesvi. And that's why now Yolandi is a figurehead. And then you have provincial leaders and stuff. So she's more like more like the kings of Europe today, more like a figurehead. She leads the council and stuff. She's not the one making personal decisions, but she's more like a diplomat between all the other ones, and a figurehead of all elvendom, so to speak. And she got way more symbolic power, but not much more real power. And she kind of likes it. She's getting old and wants to not be, she likes that part, so to speak, and not getting squabbly into politics. And so Saline has now become much more of an active and also much more powerful, because they now encompass way more people, way more area, and they also have allies that are very, very powerful. So they become a force to be reckoned with. And so meaning the old frail king of Foryundi, that is one of their protectorates now, to realize that they need Foryundi to have a good transition into a new king in the future, or queen, or someone who can rule. So that's one of the major things. That's why they want to prop up and make sure that the Foryundins will have a good ruler going forth. And that's what they cooperate with the Shieldlanders and the Luna to try and accomplish that, and then be on good terms with Greyhawk and a whole bunch. So I'm sweating it out and changing things a lot. So you've
gone macro way,
huge.
Oh
I want to have that as that is the backdrop, the setting for my campaign, so to speak. So what is happening there, so to speak. And
Very
it's
cool.
simply, yeah, it took 20 years to react or to fully get an effect. When IU started invading the world and setting it up and Great Kingdom fell apart, they started to act like all the other countries. And now it's like 18 years after, which means that now all the things that have been in the works in secret for years are now taking fruit, so to speak.
Very cool.
So that's part of the changes I make. And you have a rivalry, and you have the rivalry between Divers and Greyhawk. I think is another interesting political rivalry about trade, and they're both historic cities that have tie to the Great Kingdom, and then Great Kingdom fell apart, and then for a while Divers were the big one because they were the crown jewel of the West, with being the capital of the Kingdom of Ferron that fell. And then all of a sudden Greyhawk became the big ones because they had the better trade position, and Divers became like a small free city rather than the capital of an empire, so to speak. So
see, I've tied that into 3. I go Divers, Greyhawk, Hardby. Because
that's very true.
Yeah, because and if we all know, and I just scanned through, and we won't talk about this person that much because we don't want to beat a dead horse, or I should say a decapitated horse.
Yeah.
Right, and that is Michael Baton, and he's an antithesis of everyone, because and he's originally from Divers. There's his miniature. And during an adventure in Hardby, he got assassinated by the Divers Assassins Guild because he has done awful things there. Yeah. And everyone hates him. Most hated character in the history of my campaign. It's a PC of Mark's, right, Tim? By far, most hated character.
Yes.
Yes, by far. And so he got his, but you never know. He'll be back. Trust me. In one way or another, I'll get him back. But
I have it with Hardby and Divers and Greyhawk is that Hardby and Greyhawk has a rivalry, but they're also codependent on each other because trade needs to flow between both of them. Otherwise, they both lose. And they also have very much the same external enemies. So that means that as soon as there are threats like from the Pomarsh, then both are involved, and so on and so forth. That's why Hardby is kind of under the domain of Greyhawk, but hugely independent within that, so to speak. And basically, they get Greyhawk to pay for the majority of the military bills, and then they can do whatever they want. And trade needs to flow because they're both greedy merchants in both of them. So they want to trade, and no tariffs, no taxes, or no bullshit. They just want the people to pay for their chance to have good flowing trade between them, so to speak.
It's really cool the way, the campaigns, just like you said, make your own and deviate. And
that's the idea. You take it and run with it the way you and your players want.
And I know you started your campaign up in the Shieldlands, which is going to be awesome to hear how that develops too. As it gets bigger and bigger, because you're just starting into town now.
Now they're just they're not even first level yet, so it's very, very local, and they're just squabbling and trying to get established, so to speak. But it will be interesting to see what happens. So
Well, Big Alf, you will see Michael Baton again, probably maybe down the road, but a great villain never dies. Well, it's funny when the villain
and dying might not be the end. You have undead villains too. They're even better. So
Dave, DM, Brother Grigori was an ex-PC as well from the other build, the crazy build, the nose picking build that the emotes made for that. That was his character, that guy right there. Yes, and you saw Brother Grigori and all his during that, and the next adventure we do, big adventure in 2021, is going to finish up that chain arc from Shieldlands that we kind of let go for a while because of all the other things we had going on. But we will. Brother Grigori, I'm not sure if he'll make an appearance in that series, but I love Brother Grigori because he's such a Foltest freak. Those Foltest lawful neutral people, Sergeant, Tim doesn't like them. I know, because he likes Foltest in a lawful good aspect. So let's talk about this. Yeah. So there's a rivalry within Foltest, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's the lawful neutral Foltest and the lawful good Foltest are so different.
Right. I was actually concocting a sort of philosophical / religious argument about the heretics that are lawful neutral from a lawful good perspective. It's like Foltest of the blinding light doesn't mean you're supposed to be blind.
Right.
And that goes on that using that metaphor, saying you're blinding yourself to the obvious, meanings of all his, teachings, and that would just make all those zealots super angry.
So
They
that's
would think that they would both know they're right and think the others are heretics.
Yeah.
and
The little ones would forgive them, but the other ones would not.
Yeah, but that's perfect good canon reference for that. You have the Palites, meaning they were the one wing of the Poultice church that fled the central Great Kingdom and established a church up in the north, and in order to be different, and then the Poultice ones that stayed. So you have the
But
I would argue that the Poultice ones that are lawful neutral, their truest intent is really about ingratiating themselves and getting power for themselves, and they're not really pursuing Poultice's true intent.
And
Asher the Bear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I can see that point too, because remember they came out of that was another one that came from out of the blue and from the ashes. There was no lawful neutral. I mean, it was never.
Well, it's easy to get a whole bunch of people to join in with your extreme view when you're being oppressed or in a big fight and whatever. So it's easy to kind of get that.
Yeah.
To get it to stay, that's the harder part.
Yeah.
In reality, I think it'd be harder.
Yeah. And Asher the Bear brings up a really good point, saying Dimri, because there you have the other one, meaning then there was within the Pale, then there was one part that was even more devout, and so they isolated themselves from the Pale and became Dimri, and they also Fultians that are maybe having even more warlike or martial interpretation of it, and they're so fierce that they're even putting up against IUs, so they stay there.
Well, yeah, the Pale actually repelled IUs, so that lawful neutral aspect was good for something, right? It was good for some organizational purposes.
Well, I mean, it makes it's easy to get everybody on the same page when you have a uniform, dreaded, hated enemy from the depths of your viscera. It's easy to get behind that. And when everything is slanted against that, it's very easy to get support for it, justifiably. It's just that they make great groups to get rid of your oppression and tyranny and all that stuff. They make worse peacetime administrators.
Yeah, that's true.
They do not build a healthy community.
Yeah. So is that why you were asking me about the specialty priest? Because it doesn't matter. It's still the same. The abilities are the same between the lawful good and lawful neutral version. They have some powerful abilities and some powerful spells. So, and
I think how they use it is just different.
The shield I gave out during the one shot that you both played in that last Saturday night, that was a lawful good Fultus shield, right? Because it had So they have regional religious schism.
The true Fultus.
So, okay, that's something, Dale, I don't know about. They have a religious schism to try and steal Mid-Meadow from Nyrond. Okay, is that on the border? I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Dimvorce was just always some other stuff.
The Nyrond and Pale don't see eye to eye, really. They're kind of squabbly neighbors. Yeah, okay. Rivalry is probably a good term because they're not completely hostile, but they're kind of certainly not friends.
They taunt.
Yeah.
They taunt there.
Yeah, and especially when you have Ayus and Bandit Kingdoms on your borders, then that kind of affects both of them. So yeah.
So let's talk about a Len adventure. We'll bring up our great friend, departed friend Leonard, and the Assassin's Knot. And we always go back to I killed off permanently Tim's.
I get a little shivers.
Tim's thief Gridley. As he went out on his own and he got assassinated by the Assassin's Guild.
Gridley. It would have been a great role-playing event, but instead Jay assassinated him.
Now you have another Gridley in the kids' game, so there you go. So, but without
Gridley was Gridley's brother, Gridley.
Yes, just like Daryl and other brother Daryl from the Newhart show. Yep. But if Gridley hadn't died, you would have never brought in a new character into that group, Murdoch the Mighty. With a personality disorder and
a personality reorder.
Yes, that brings us to our next PC Tim rivalry between Murdoch and Mark's character Swain Markham. Now, everyone may know Swain is currently dead, but he's been currently dead like 8 or 9 times in the campaign, so you never know. But yeah.
This is a great example of a rivalry versus an antipathy.
Right.
Because they're both good, aligned. They just, well, I will say I'll say Swain disliked Murdoch extremely because Murdoch's multiple personalities he would take on. He'd take on numerous, he has at least 12 personalities that he would take on because he's a cleric of Erevan Ilsira, who is a god of mischief.
Right.
And that was the way he manifested the mischievousness of his deity.
And Swain,
the way he teaches to his followers and things like that.
Yes, it was taken from the A-Team, Canadian. Absolutely. Murdoch is just even the same name.
Murdoch the Mighty, though.
Yeah. Yes. I remember some of the names of his Arvo the Altar, the Brown Hornet, Poor Tom, Siegfried the Sober. Yes, he's going to do Poor Tom now.
Poor Tom. Poor Tom.
Poor Tom's cold, he always used to say. Yeah. So this is what I had to put up with at the table. So this is not a rivalry. This is like Generation 3. So we're talking about early 80s. Yeah, you like that? So
it's a rivalry.
Yeah, it's a rivalry. And
because Swain really he hated him. And I don't know if he did anything or he just was unpleasant too. But Murdoch took great delight.
Yes, in him being angry at him all the time.
And him not liking it, and it didn't stop him one bit. He would use that as as an example in his sermons, because he's
And you were Elvin Elseer, and he was Alana, so there was that little difference there too. Yeah, and everyone knows like Swain's Tower, the big tower of Alana in the middle of Altamira with the fletchings as the battlements. That big piece I commissioned years ago. That's his keep is right in the middle of town. Is right in the middle of Altamira. So
I have a temple there as well.
Templeton Peck. Yeah, that's funny. Oh my gosh, no, and no B.A. Baracus either. So it was you take stuff from pop culture as you're going in those days, right? And I had Charles Emerson Winchester. There you go. It was another one.
I mean,
yeah. Here's another.
I suppose the A-Team informed. I don't know if I stole it. I maybe Murdoch I got from the A-Team.
You thought, yeah, there's no doubt about it because that's where.
But I remember, one of the first ones he took on. I think I just had Murdoch the Mighty, and then as he played, I came up with these different personalities because I remember him. I think the first one he did was the Brown Hornet.
Yes, from the Fat Albert cartoon. Yeah, exactly. Which, yeah,
Brown Hornet, and then he used the lance. So he would change his weapons out. And his outfit and his armor based on the guy he was going to do. So the Brown Hornet, I don't remember his armor. He was wearing a lot of brown. He used the light lance.
Oh my God! You remember that show with Ernest Borgnine and oh my God, what's his name? Jan Michael Vincent. Oh my God, Airwolf.
Airwolf.
Yeah. Back in the day. Jan Michael Vincent was starred in what cartoon in the 60s? Does anyone know that question? Jan Michael Vincent was the main character in a cartoon in the 60s. It was a cartoon series and a show. Yeah. Oh, and his name was only Michael Vincent then.
It's not Scooby-Doo.
No. This is real live acting in a cartoon series back in the 60s.
Oh, live acting in a cartoon?
Yeah.
But then it
was a live action cartoon series on a TV show. Yes. He was the main guy in Danger Island. In the Banana
Danger
Splits.
Island.
Yes, with Chongo. Yep. There you go. So there you go. Look
Chongo.
It up. It's Jan Michael Vincent is the main actor in Danger Island. For all you people who are old enough to remember it. So that includes me. So another one. Yeah, that's a fun one.
On that one.
Uh-oh, Chongo. Exactly. All right, so Gary brought up one in Discord to me, and that's Heronius and Hexter. We had a little bit of that discussion on Thursday night because Karestein is a priestess of Heronius, or a paladin of Heronius, and one of the characters, the half-orc in the party, is a priest of Hexter, and that was Bill's, and there was a little possible for tension there, but I kind of didn't play it up as much. But the brothers don't like each other, obviously. And it's funny how and Anna, the Great Kingdom, they both exist within the knighthood, right? They kind of revere both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I see it as a slow corruption, so to speak, that they probably both existed to some degree, but then the historians kind of took over more and more and more, and the Heronians. And also it was probably, I see it also that the Heronians moved west. They were the ones that were more eager on conquering new lands and convert others and stuff. And the Hextorians became the ones that guarded the home turf Rossies and stuff. So there was separation geography too that kind of made it so so one stayed and more of them left, so to speak. And then when the Heronians became strongest in Furiundi, Voluna, and Shield lands and the Western lands. That's where they really grew stronger, so to speak. And the Hextorians stayed in and became the guardians of the old power, so to speak. And that meant that they could go separate ways way more. That if they'd been at home and squabbled locally around the throne, then someone will probably put an end to it. But simply by being separate into having new realms, like from Nyrond all the way to Voluna, they could thrive and take a new form, so to speak. And that's my idea of an explanation why it could take off much longer, so to speak, and then when the other countries separated, Nyrond, Furiundi, and Voluna and Shieldlands and stuff separated from the main kingdom, these Heronian knights got free reign, and they can turn into knights of holy shielding. They can turn into knight of the heart and other groups, so to speak, and became. So that's how I see it that way. And the knight protectorate, the Hextorians took over because the other ones had left and were not loyal to Rossies anymore. And thanks to Ivid, then they got free reign, and they became and their deviltry became the state religion. And then the rest were toast, almost toast. There's still some remnants of it left in the Great Kingdom, but they are kind of sidelined, so to speak. But that's I took the part of what I've said is that the bases are true, but I kind of analyzed and tried to figure out why and added that kind of layer of explanation in my campaign that is only kind of implicit in the text. It's not written out.
It's definitely a huge one as far as a rivalry goes. And good.
Yeah, we have another classic one we can take up after, but
go ahead.
Please, I would say we have one from the Gord books that are in the first one. Yeah, the local in Greyhawk between the Thieves Guild and the Beggars Union.
Oh yeah.
And that one is a really interesting, and that takes up the first book completely fulfilled by takes up the main plot is the rivalry between those two, and Gord is caught up in among the beggars, and then he moves on, so to speak, and changes side, sort of.
And that is really the backstory for that is detailed in the Free City Greyhawk box set, and I have brought it back. And I didn't even realize it because the original, Gaspar was killed. The king, he's the current king. Whoever the previous, I forget the name. I remember the previous beggar master who was taken out by Aaron
Before
Toll.
Theobald?
Theobald, that's it. Theobald, King of Junk, was taken out by Aaron Toll. So Theobald's son has been in divers all these years and has now gotten his King of the Beggar Masters rod of beguiling, and I did that.
That's interesting because that part is not part of Gary's book in the Gord series.
No, I made that up.
Oh, okay. See, there you are. See, you fooled me right away. That's perfect.
Yes, I made all that up so that
that's awesome.
Theobald had a son, Fendon, who and the Grey Company. This is one of our first streams ever. It was called Deal or No Deal, and it was in Greyhawk City with a company called the Grey Company. They're a bunch of mostly thieves. They recovered this, which was hidden underneath Greyhawk City, and they made a deal, and they got property for the exchange. And they don't realize what they gave away, which was Theobald's, and it's the Beggar Master's Greyhawk City Rod of Beguiling, which rods of beguiling are nasty to begin with. And I haven't played that up yet. You love Tim's wall of weapons behind her, geek. Yeah, they're all real. They are all real weapons. So don't hurt anyone. Don't hurt yourself, Tim. I saw you were about to get up and grab one, but yes. So when he really wants to intimidate me, he brings him over when he plays in the house and just puts him out. So. Yeah. So there you go. So Anna, I developed that story to continue on that because
that's
I
awesome
love that
you
tension.
can continue, you can continue the rivalry for new generations. So
because I love getting divers involved too. Because he's been hiding out in divers all these years,
also
planning.
Makes perfect sense to hide somewhere that is politically different and from Greyhawk, but still close enough that you can insert yourself back into the fray again. So
I do have a shield. It's back. Yes, as you can see, I didn't put it in the chair. There it is. That wall's going to be worked on. I got 3 new bookshelves up, but they're on.
You let it touch the ground, sir.
I got 3 bookshelves up, but they're on the wall where the TV is because I need a room. I need to get 3 more, and then so I'm working on it. I promise. Yeah, that's a great one, Anna. Fantastic one to bring up. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's a really and it has good standing in canon too, and it's a great example of something you can make your own. And you made the perfect example of how you can continue the story and how you can use what is written in the published sources and add to it yourself.
Another nice one too, Walt, is Walt, who's on now, just brought up. Hey, Walt, your sub may be up too, man. There you go. Looks like it just expired. So just hit that button for me, dude. Ice, Snow, and Frost Barbarians. There's a lot of rivalry there. Mike, if Mike you're on, you can describe to that. I did a little adventure years ago where the Frost Barbarians were fighting the Ice Barbarians way back. And we actually have player characters now that are generational that have come down from the Frost Barbarians because, there's the sons and daughters of King Hungred, who married one of Walt's PCs, Rowena. Yeah, so we actually have the Barbarians actually are interbred into my game now. So, and they come down as classes and stuff. It's a really good one too. You're absolutely 100% right, Walt. That's a great one. I know Tim is, there's one I forgot with Tim. And then I'm going to talk about my coup de grace one. Tim, we forgot with Murdoch and Swain, the early, this is an antipathy of Dalrin and Julak Arondis with them, Wayne's characters. And how much, the fighter clerk and the fighter mage.
Was the rivalry really among the characters or the players?
Yes. So, do you ever have a player who how you can just take him out of a fight, and that is you cast a Dispel Magic. This is the old school days. You cast a Dispel Magic on him, and he has all these prep spells up, and they're all gone, and before he gets into it and does anything, he's just going to re-prep up. That's what I used to do all the time, and I could immediately take the player out of the fight because he was so paranoid of getting assassinated and getting, so... And it used to drive Tim and Mark crazy, and particularly Murdoch and Swain with those 2 characters, the brothers.
Murdoch and Swain, though they were rivals, they both were together and disliking the other guy.
Yes, exactly. Exactly back then. And I had some fun with those characters.
Those are the guys that touched the button and freed Macrash, right? They opened the book and that.
Yeah,
right?
Don't read the book. Yeah, we actually did it. We actually did an old Gabbin. It's called "Don't Read the Book." So it's back in the day.
I have never forgiven him for that, of course.
Yes. And remember, we during the
because let's put it this way: my imprisoning of that guy was something you didn't expect and was awesome.
Yes, it was. But every time something big comes up, like during the adventure that Eric Mona stole the tongue, I said, "Don't touch the tongue. Don't do anything to the tongue." But it still happens. So it's a warning, and it still happens during this adventure.
Don't open the book.
Yes.
And when they messed with the book, it freed this great arch nemesis that my high-level character had imprisoned. In fact, my character probably should have gone back and killed his characters for that. But
I know you were upset, but that made it even better. So
I was just like.
So
luckily I was away a long time.
Yes, you were. Luckily you were either. Yes.
There would have been definitely some blue on blue casualties.
For me, yeah. And that's once again Jay being a real douchebag as a DM and saying, you know what, Tim imprisoned this guy, and it was about 2 years of real time. It's time to bring him back. How can I have this happen? Oh, I'll tell them get this book, don't read it, and they'll read it and the incantation, and it'll do it. And that's exactly what they did, because they couldn't help themselves. So yes, exactly, Antiquitous. So if you ever want to have your party, have your players do something you don't want them to do, but you want them to do it, tell them not to do it with an NPC. It works every time.
Well, not every time, Jim.
Oh, well, yeah, you understand what I'm saying. It works a lot.
For the right player. Who
exactly. Yeah.
Dumb.
In the middle is Gazumba's figure. To the left is his best friend Hawk, and to the right, the person who has the most antipathy, created by me, the DM, the third in command, actually the second in command order of Ulick, and he's always will be second in command. He'll never be first. This character is right from the G series, and that's the wonderful Fonkin Hottie Peak. Right, Tim? Fonkin has always been a thorn in the side, because Fonkin's a pure chaotic good, and he can't stand the lawfulness of paladins. He can't stand the stuff-upness of dwarves. He can't stand the uppityness and the arrogance of certain PCs. So
I think he's just a presumptuous asshole. I think, and he tries to justify it with those things, but I think in general, he's just kind of that.
He is. He is that, but I love using him as a little stick in the side of certain old school characters. I haven't brought him out.
You may notice a pattern in Jay's NPC.
Yeah, imagine that. You know what I mean?
Imagine that we all have that.
Yes,
we have that's why a lot of players should play with different DMs from time to time, so you get like a different take on things too. Yeah.
See, Geek Puppet did the same thing. He said he had a jar of floating mist in it, and the PCs couldn't wait to open it. It was probably vampiric mist or something.
Or they told not to, though.
Yeah, exactly.
A very reliable source. Whatever you do, don't touch it.
Don't? Yeah, don't touch it. All right, I'm going to go back one more time to the large Winchester family tree.
What about, I mean, when we were talking about,
good.
Was it, who were Wayne's guys, his characters?
Julak and Dalrin Arondis.
Now, those were... The player informed the rivalry of the characters. It wasn't just a true character-based only rivalry based on role-playing. It was also infused by the player. So the rivalry existed because of the player.
Yep.
But there's the ultimate rivalry that almost tempted me to actually physically hurt someone. And that was we only had him play a couple times.
Derek. I wish he was.
Yes, where I almost physically...
Yeah. Well, he opened an umbrella in your face.
Right, and it was like one of those pop-out umbrellas that it was this far from my eye when it opened, popped out.
We've all had those kind of players over 40 years where they come and go, and it's during high school or during college early years, and friends of friends come, and you know that these aren't people that are sticking around a long time. And
now, I will say, I did not hurt him.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
However... He did play another school, and I did play him in a soccer game. We did actually run into each other, and as the ball went up the field, I had the pleasure of stepping over him as he laid on the ground suffering as the play continued, which seemed to redeem everything. Really.
So the good thing is that rivalry did not come in characters to the point.
Right. So he didn't play very much because he was unpleasant in general.
Yes, exactly. And I weeded those kind out. If we go to, I'm going to show a picture of the characters we're going to talk about. I went
it's by a reflection of my restraint and good character.
Because you're sensible. Here is the two, and they're both lawful good, and they both were Paladin Cavaliers, Andrea and Elaine Winchester. Now they're both NPCs. Now, if we go to let's go to our big Winchester family tree chart. Now I'm giving away some in-depth customer secrets here of my campaign. We go back to the Winchester family tree. They are second cousins. If you go down here and you go down to generational, after Charles, you go down to Elijah III, and you go across. You got Andrea and Ashley Winchester, sisters. Emerson III is a fallen paladin. That's a long story in itself. And Elaine, our brother and sister there as well. So they're second cousins. Well, they're both lawful good. They're both members of the Order of Ulick. They're both paladins. But Elaine Winchester dual class to mage. And Andrea Winchester said that was... no paladin, they're cavalier paladins. They're not fighter paladins. No paladin in their right-serving mind would ever go to a spellcaster class. It created some enmity. When we did a grand joust, which we're going to do during GaryCon, right? When we did a grand joust about 30 years ago, and that's how old these characters are, Elaine was a mage, but she still fought in the joust, and she defeated Andrea and unhorsed her, and that made it even worse, right?
Hey, circumstances matter.
Exactly. So they are two characters now they're both on Anna's maps. Winchester's Bulwark is Andrea's Keep, which is also on the front page of this stream in Winter Scene. That's Andrea's Keep. And the Golden Tower in Southern Saline. If I were to move the upper left-hand corner of where Anna's head is, it's there in Saline. It's not far from Fensick's Lightning Rod Tower. So she married Duke Wilborn, who I have him as the second behind Yolande. I don't have Melf. I have Duke Wilborn, and she married him. He's a half elf, and then they have.
Yeah, I remember Andrea being strong medicine.
Jacquel Finesse is an interesting story, Dave DM. Right? Yes, she is. She did something and got both her ears cut off for what's the word? Bringing dishonor to an individual. Hasn't really gone into the discussion as to why that happened. That's one of Alan's PCs, by the way. She's a Cavalier, very nasty character. Cavaliers are, I love Cavaliers. A lot of people, Cavaliers are kind of gone away right after 2E. There are no third edition. They're classes.
I think that I'm sure there is somewhere a third edition character that a class that is Cavalier, but not in the standard things. And I think Pathfinder kind of disappeared, and I don't think they have it in 5th edition. But I'm sure there are somewhere in some supplement, because there's so many third-party publications and stuff too. But I don't think there's in not the standing it had originally in 1st edition and old AD&D. That then it was kind of one of the Paladin kind of took it over in a way, and the fighter kind of took that part. And also you can kind of customize your character so much in 3rd edition that you can kind of tweak things.
Asher, who's a big 3rd edition player to this day, says there's a Hospitaller, which makes sense in various night PCs, which makes total sense. See, I love the Cavalier. I love the original Dragon 72 Cavalier over the Cannon Cavalier. I've talked about that before. So much that we have 2 different Paladin types. We have subclass of Cavalier, and we have subclass of Fighter. So they have a little bit.
Which is the best one?
I like the subclass of Fighter over, but I was not going to remove the other one. Most of the Winchesters are Cavalier Paladins. Right. Most of them.
I find the proper mindset of a Paladin to be antithetical to some of the ideals of a Cavalier.
Hey, Lady Dragon, good to see you. Thank you for, like I said, thank you for such a great crowd during the holidays here. I know, hopefully you're all enjoying this discussion on Rivalries. But so with Andre and Elaine,
I played both.
Yeah, and I've NPC'd both. And during this Grand Joust of Altamira, we're going to see a lot of Cavalier Paladins in it. So,
you actually played both in my campaign.
Yes, I did.
But it was the same character.
Yeah, absolutely. Because she would. So if you watch me play in Tim's campaign, my Lady Dervilia, she's actually a fallen paladin. She could not handle lawful good, so she's just a regular Cavalier now. So, yes. So.
Also, Cavaliers don't have to be lawful good. They can be lawful.
They can be any alignment. They can be evil.
Oh, okay, any alignment. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, evil. But can they be chaotic too?
Yeah, Lord Page is chaotic neutral Cavalier.
Ah, okay.
Oh, yeah, they can be any alignment.
I thought they could be any alignment, but any lawful alignment. I thought, but
no, any alignment, any alignment at all for It says they're supposed to start out at good, but we have it so that you can be. They're perfect for the evil knight.
Yeah, I thought they were. For me, it would be like they need to be lawful to be good with their word, so to speak. But they could be evil or neutral or good.
Right.
Good question, Steve. Tim is going to run his own stream during the fundraiser. Okay, and he has his own game, the Barbarian game for GaryCon. But we need to get in our City State of Invincible Overlord in there at some point. We really do. So
I think that
We do.
Sometime during the holiday week, we can do it probably.
All right. Well, let's talk about it. Let's get after the show tonight. We'll try and set a date.
Right. And so I only have one person picked out to be in the my charity stream.
Who's that?
Gaetano.
Gaetano's in already at 4 o'clock in the morning. By the way, guys.
That's right. 4 o'clock in the morning.
Saturday
only
morning.
For the truly devout.
Yes, he needs 2 more at least.
Yep.
So with Andrea and Elaine Winchester, they're both mothers. They both have children. And we have that. Andrea has Alexis. She's a knight class. Elaine has Erin Winchester. She's a fighter / mage, dual class human. She took on the kind of what her mother did. So that's the next generation. And I was going to talk about one other one as we're wrapping, starting to wind down, and that is I have Kyron Winchester, who is Elijah's daughter, who never married. I'm sorry, Bill. I can't bust on Bill, who's not here. But his character, Marcus Camara, his paladin cavalier in the Iron Brigade, they had a child together, and one wanted to name him Camara, and she insisted on it being Winchester, and they split up over it. So PC to NPC. So there you go. Is that a rivalry now? It's a squabble.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we're having fights between us, our players, and gosh, I don't want to get into a political thing here, but for all of you who have only guys playing in your groups, we have to be able to play female characters. We can't have all just male characters, correct?
Oh, you need, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think we do the female characters honor by the way we play them in our games. I just want to make sure everyone understands that we're not.
It seems to be that in-game things you have good equality, so to speak, rather than not around the game table, but in your campaign. There seems to be a variety of interesting characters of all genders, and
you have to. I mean, because that's reality.
Yeah, otherwise, the world is boring and dull if there's only one or the other. So yeah,
definitely. Alternating is good too, Ashura. I mean, that's the way to do it too. But I think that the female characters in a lot of instances are much more powerful and interesting than the male characters in my campaign, which is a good thing. So, and there's a lot of them. Tim, you got any that you want to discuss as we wrap up a little bit here?
Just if for anybody who is playing, when is the charity stream? What's the date?
Well, we're going to talk about that in shout outs, but here, I'll throw that up here.
Oh, I thought that's what you mean Rivalry.
Yeah, Rivalries.
Oh, Rivalries.
Yeah, I'm going to start working on that now in this listing here.
Well, I did mention this to you earlier. I'll bring it up now. Is that
Go for it.
I think a lot of times we would have a lot more character rivalries. We're all friends and buds for a long time. So we, all right, you wanted to pick treasure. It's not that big a deal. But I think if we really role played how we divide treasure, we've systematized it for fairness over time. And we're all lawful because we all comply and think it's a good idea. Right. But if we were really going for the characters, it'd be like, well, I did this more. And if we really role played how those personalities were, the whole treasure divide thing would be much more of a rivalry.
Well, you're absolutely correct on that, man. When you think about it, you're 100% correct.
You'd have lawful saying, well, I know he didn't do as much, but I know if we give him these wands, he'll be more powerful for the group. And, you have the chaotic people saying, yeah, but I want my cut. It would be, it'd be a lot more rivalry as long as people can keep it to the characters and not the players. That's what I was thinking.
No, you're 100% correct that we really, because we're friends, right? And because that just makes the most sense for us.
Yeah.
Is to do it that way.
Easy too. It's like, hey, I need a +2 ring, but you know what? I'll put a +1 ring back in the pot for somebody who could use it.
Right.
Because if we're all better off, if everyone's protected, we're all better as a group. So, that's the lawful thinking. But it's also taking care of your buds. It's also, So,
and everyone does it differently.
I also didn't do that specifically when I played Kelvin, who was a dwarf. He got a better weapon, and they said, "Well, you want to put this? We want to put your other +1 ring back in?" And he's like, "No."
Yeah, I remember that. That's fine. But that's for we've just come to the point when you know each other, how they play for 40 years. That's just the way it works. And I try to do that with the groups that I bring in, like the Saturday night group we had. I just, we did it in order, and then it was basically almost by need, though. Best, made sense the most, and everyone's, here to have fun. JG, Judges Guild. It probably, Judges Guild.
If someone, they were asking about the city state. That's all.
City state's a Judges Guild. That and World Emperor and Invincible Overlord both are both Judges Guild. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Very, very awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Anna, how about any rivalries you want to tie it up with?
Let's see. The best one with the Beggars Union. I already taken that. I burned that one. So. I was thinking one interesting rivalry that I don't know if it exists, but it will be kind of a cool one to introduce, will be the rivalry between the different orders of the heart, who can be more successful or more effective or more valiant or whatever kind of take you want to have on it. But I think that will be kind of a cool one to use. If you introduce a war with Ayus, you can have different factions of the order of the heart. Could be kind of we are the best ones and so on, and we're beating you and stuff like that. That will be an interesting friendly rivalry that you can kind of make into some sort of competition or something.
I have that a little bit cool. Because I have the High Forest Knights written up because I use them in the Vespi campaign because they're the
ones that stand out more different than Voluna and Furiundi, so to speak.
What's that? Can you ask Mommy? Does Mommy know? You guys talk up a sec. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so the Knights of the Heart is one of these kind of, you can use organizations like that. I think that you can kind of play out interesting rivalry, like rivalry between military units and stuff that have.
Yeah, because they're going to be pride in their unit, but they're also going to be like, they want glory. I mean, the Knights' pursuit of glory, it can be on behalf of someone else, but they still, even if they don't say it, they still are trying to do it because they are trying to demonstrate, I am worth all the tax dollars that you've paid to get me this nice armor and to pay for my house and my family. I am worth it because I've done all these things.
Yep.
So they're going to try to like outdo each other. And they're going to try to get the best, there's the whole economic piece of getting the best their mercantile interests. They're going to, there's going to be competitions that are all sort of, they're beneath the noble to address publicly, but they're going to be a big factor in a lot of decisions and things they want to do. So I think,
and they want to be able to afford the coolest gear to outdo the other ones, and it will be shinier and pass inspection better than the other ones. And
the best part for characters is you can give them with the rivalries for DMs. You can exploit rivalries between good people, so they can't just kill the bad guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So killing the bad guy is totally antithetical to what they got to do. So now you have a really serious conundrum to try to fix, and they can't just brute force it. They're going to have to figure out how they can one up without just killing them.
Yep.
Which is great. It's a win right there for the DM and the players too. I think.
Okay. Now I think I'm
outside the box.
Yep.
Had one of those things where son needed something and we don't know where it is. One of those, it's like, something he hasn't seen in 6 months. All right, so I missed that last discussion. I apologize.
Yep.
I've heard that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not with 3 weeks. All right, so if you haven't signed up and you want to, we're going to do 2 $25 gift certificates to Troller Games, courtesy of Cannonball, which is Troy. And then the third thing we're going to do is as we finish up here, the Village of Hamlet with, and I haven't given these out. I think I sent you one of these if you got it already with your mini. These I was going to leave these out at GaryCon last year, but I got the Lord Gazumba mouse pads. I've had them for 9 months. I might as well start giving them out there. So there you go. Along with the Village of Hamlet, it's a reprint, but still, it's nice. So what we're gonna do? Let's yeah, we're close to time anyway. Anna, what's hopefully you like this discussion. You know, it's kind of abstract, but
Yeah, but
it's fun. It's
yeah,
something
I think
campaigning.
it's a good one for campaign building. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do different rivalries mirror rivalries of gods at times, Moose? Yes, especially with Hernius and Hextor. Like you said, we had Irvin Elsevier and Alana. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and there's a lot of mythologies where the gods are rivals,
Oh yeah, that
Canadian
seems to
and
build.
how it plays out is terrible for mortals.
Yep.
courtesy of Canadian Agent Gamer, by the way. This,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Ah, I could use that.
Yeah.
it's a reprint. Hey,
I was just using my GDQ one.
you can. There's nothing. You could sign up for this one.
Oh, what do I sign up?
Just click. You know what? Don't worry about it. Canadian will be nice to you. Right?
All right.
Right, Patrick? He's earned it. Everyone, he's earned it. Tim has earned this. I got a second one. All the joy you bring to everyone, I will think Patrick will be nice enough to give you that one, right? Yes, see, there you go. So there you go. I'll give you.
Thank you.
Next time you're by, I will give it to you. So, awesome. All right.
Thank you.
You start calling me. Well, that's it. That's why we're calling. I'm calling these
running
holiday.
my son through it.
I'm calling these holiday giveaways tonight because two of these are Troller Game $25 gift certificates, but they're not sponsored giveaways. They're from one of our viewers. And same thing on Wednesday nights. We're going to give 2 more of them away, courtesy of Cannibal Eridar, who's a regular here as well, and we really appreciate it. So yes, they are drive-through RPG reprints, absolutely. Yeah. So Anna, what is going on?
There's a lot of going on that, and first I have to again apologize for being kind of absent on social media and stuff. That happened way too many times this year, so that needs to be addressed for next year. But there is a good reason. First of all, I had to wrap up my participation in 2 Kickstarters that are now gone live, so that the past couple of weeks. But the other main interest or main thing that has kept me away from this, I've started my own campaign again after running a game after like 3 years, and when I do it, I kind of overdo it. So I needed to make sure that I really could kind of kick off a good game. So we've had a couple of the 0 level sessions, and we had the first real session today, and it was a lot of fun, at least for me. I hope my players think the same thing the same way. So it's set in the Southern Shieldlands. But one of the main reasons I wanted to run a game, apart from just having the fun with the players and running the game itself, is that I wanted a reason to start developing a new set of Greyhawk maps and to battle test them myself, because if I can't use them, they're kind of something needs to be fixed, so to speak. So they need to be useful for me. So I'm so far, I think I'm kind of successful. I've started to develop. I have an area about 200 square miles mapped, and that is going to expand. And I put the backstory. I've set the campaign into a small little village I invented in Southern Shieldland called Aldet. And it's set in 598, 599, so it's behind enemy lines. IU still runs the show in this area, and that's where I start the campaign, and then we will have all the things unfolding. So I wrote down the backstory of this village, and it's posted on my Patreon blog. And now there will be a bunch of maps coming, the first batch of maps. There will be village maps, area maps, and also there will be a kind of a discussion on how to best present, because first the first batch of maps that will come now are just the raw ones coming out that I'm using in my campaign. So you can see that even if I do polished work for publications and stuff, what I use in my own games is only 2/3 there, so to speak. The presentation is not great. You simply have to sketch and keep up with the players. But the good thing with that is that we get to figure out, and that's what I need the help from all my patrons and all the other ones who are interested in my map making, to figure out how to actually present this material the best for DMs, what formats and sizes and stuff like that it needs to come in. So that's one thing, and so that's coming. And now from now until New Year's, I will basically just crank out posts post, because now I have a whole bunch of material to write about, to post, and to kind of present. So there will be a whole slew of small posts and large posts and stuff. So there will be first the maps from my campaign, the write-up among that, and then they will be the concept behind it, how I've developed the maps, my ideas, and how to present them in the future. And that will be kind of an idea for discussion. And once I can have kind of a consensus and people have yelled and screamed at me or praised me or whatever their opinions will be about my maps, it's time to look forward how to use that kind of consensus to build Lendor Isles and future map making. And it's also this time of year to ramp up and look forward to next year. So my campaign presentation and the kind of the basis on next generation Greyhawk mapping will be up until New Year's. After New Year's, that will be the kickoff of the things to happen next year. So that will be looking into lens material and to start looking into Lendor Isles, and it will be to start the endeavor of building the next generation Greyhawk mapping. And part of that will be Lendor Isles is the down to earth kind of taking what I've done for my Shieldlands campaign and apply the professional touch to the whole thing and do it properly, so to speak. And then the other part of that is to look into the geographical information system, GIS, to basically take all the current map data that is now just in an Illustrator file and make that into GIS along with the new content. That's the other big project for next year, and to do that in parallel, so to speak, to do it. That is the main thing. But also it's Christmas and it's time of giving and stuff. So I have another pet project that I wanted to do that haven't got started, but I already done it. And the few of my patrons and others who've looked into my Dropbox link have already discovered there is one other thing in there. And there's a lot of people, they keep asking, oh, don't you sell prints of your maps and your Flanese map? I want to print it. And one of the problems is that it's so damn big that if you print it, there was hardly any printers around. That's one problem. The other problem is that the smallest text is so small that you have to print it in really high quality. And I get it. You need a 300 or 600, preferably 600 DPI color printer in order to print it. So what I've done is that I've taken an area and enlarged it to 150%. So I enlarged it 50% more, which means that the smallest print will be like 9-10 points instead of 6 points. So it will be much more easily to read. And I've simply I will take one bit of the map at a time and make a 24 by 36 of an area that is 150% in size, which means that it's good to print on any type of material. Basically, you don't need to have super high quality. And 24 by 36 is also standard. You can go to any Staples or Office Depot print center or whatever, and they should be able to print 24 by 36. It's kind of a standard format. So I will simply take roughly once a week, I will take one part of the map and do this. And I started with Salt Marsh. So the Salt Marsh is already in there, and I will post a blog on my website and on my Patreon with the links and stuff to it. And then I'll try and do one a week at least, because it's about an hour and a half to convert each area. So shout at me if there's any areas you're particularly interested in, I can kind of get to them first.
Well, if Salt Marsh has the Dun Mounds there too, I'm all in for that.
Oh, yeah, it's the same version of that the Atlas is based on. So it's the latest public version of the map that will do it. And I will simply take a bunch take an interesting area. So they will not be like you can put all side by side, because that will take forever. And so I will simply, it will be centered on Greyhawk. There will be one for interesting areas, so to speak. Yeah. So I will try and find the areas that are mostly interesting. So Ratik is one of them that people always ask for. So we have to have one for Ratik, and so they will be, and they will be good for they will be for prints specifically, so to speak.
Dale has sure asked your play style for your game.
Oh, my play style for my game is raw, gritty, and a little bit kind of apocalyptic right now. And they're starting at 0 level, so they are just now basically living in this village that are run by a bunch of Iusian priests. And so it's not that easy, so to speak. And they have to survive it, they have to thrive, or they have to get the hell out, so to speak. So they have to somehow manage to do either or a combination of them. So in the beginning, it's more wit and survival and find your resources, keep your head down and stay out of trouble. And then they have to kind of navigate through the sandbox of this, because Iusians are not the only faction in the area, so to speak. There are many other things at play, and they have to find that and align themselves one way or the other with what they want, and find out things. So it's it's kind of a game right now that is more kind of think and don't act rationally, and try and figure out how to survive. So yeah.
Is it safe to say, Anna, that you're basically starting these 0-level characters out with a good punch in the face to toughen them up?
Not really. I've tried not to do that. Not the first hours, though. We played, like, in game time, we played about 12 hours in the campaign so far, and they managed to stay out. They were close. They were close, so to speak. So yeah. So they have managed
exciting.
to stay out. Yep. So it's kind of it's a game right now of avoiding to get bungled up in the worst of controversies. So yeah.
I want Canadian. I'm going to answer that question. So remember, I printed out a bunch of maps from Staples for Against Call the Reptile God, but they were maps another person had created for use. So that's as long as it's personal use, I don't think there's a problem with it.
No, that's a lot of printers have issues because my maps look so professional, so they always assume that someone else had the right. So that's why I put the Creative Commons on them, and they should be able to, and my URL and stuff. So so the Creative Commons should, if the printers understand legal terms, that should means that you have the right to print them in order to use them yourself. Yeah.
Very cool. So, Anna, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I know we're going to be looking forward to a great Legends and Lore coming up on Wednesday as well.
Yeah.
Tim, what's going on, man? Your world.
Well, I'm always feeling like I don't have as much as everybody else has going on.
You got to figure out.
But the biggest thing. Hold on. Why don't we go to someone else? My son is coming down here.
All right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I will go. How's that sound?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let me go to the end here. So what's going on? Let's go with what's going on soon, and then what's going on later. Oh, he's back. You back?
I'm back.
All right. So
I had to make a call.
Mm-hmm.
I had to pronounce a judgment on a situation. And that is all now satisfied.
And it was death. No. So.
What's coming up is the Running Adventure for a Charity stream. What is the date on that?
You will be doing it the 20th, early in the morning.
Saturday
the 20th is day 2.
Saturday
Underdark Uprising. There it is.
4 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yes. So he will kick off day 2. All right. As far as we're going to have 9 streams in Underdark Uprising. February 19th and the 20th. We had 5 last year. We raised $2,520. I might as well say this now for my part with you. I got word that Reaper Miniatures and Troller Games are officially sponsoring this event. Okay, so we got official sponsors where we had all those gifts from last year. I have reached out to my other company, Stratagem, and I haven't even reached out to my 3D print companies yet. So we may have a lot more giveaways than we had last year. Plus, Casey's giving me 20 books, Bandit Kingdom books, right? Signed. Plus, I got stuff coming from some of our viewers, like Canadian and Cannibal as well. So we're going to have a lot of goodies to give away to those that are donating. It's going to be, I hope we smash the $2,500.
So Grindelwolf is in. I will accept up to 4 other slots, 4 other players. If you're interested, feel free to whisper me.
Yes, if you want in on Tim's game, and it will be Underdark based. It won't be a barbarian one.
No, it won't be barbarians. It'll be Underdark based. It's actually something I ran when I was in college, and I can't believe my group survived. I don't know how.
That's great. But it'll be a fun one. So, yes, and each one of Casey's books has a unique reading as well. I haven't read them. I don't want to ruin it. But So that is great, and then Tim will be also running something, and we'll go to this Virtual Greyhawk Adventures. You know, that'll be
Yes.
coming up. So and that
I'm running the Barbarian Adventure number 2, Dark Hand Headhunt.
Head Strike, I thought it
Oh,
was.
awesome.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dark Hand Headhunt.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yes.
Mhm.
And that'll be 8 a.m. Central Time, Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday.
they made it easy. We can't do it 4 a.m. So
Yeah.
no,
That's
just kidding.
good
We
because
could
that
do
will
it
be
for-
1 a.m. for me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah. What a busy
and,
Saturday that is. And by the way, the schedule is 95% done. I said this earlier at the beginning of the show. I only got 4 open streaming slots. Plus, Greyhawk Reborn put all their events in, and I don't know how many. Josh is the only one who can look at it. She's got admin access. I was trying to find out how many they got in. No, it's not open yet, Alderon. It's not. Registration will be. Oh yeah, you can register. Absolutely, you can register already. Just a 20-hour badge. Yes, you can on the and. Hold on one sec. Try that. Oh, now it's not going to pop up. Now my shout out stopped working right this minute. So,
well, I'll also say, do you want to stay on the Virtual Greyhawk Adventures topic?
yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, you said it was holding up.
That's weird. Yeah, no game signups yet. No, the game signups aren't starting, but you can actually register now. Yeah.
And then I know that you're also playing in one of Carlos's games for his charity stream. I'm playing on the 3rd of January on his charity stream.
Yes, and I'm playing New Year's Day, the night of New Year's Day, and I was playing on the 7th. And Carlos
is 7 days straight.
Yeah, and multiple, sometimes twice a day.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it, and
yeah. I know I say this a number of times as well. I am in the background in the midst of my honey-do list and work and messing with commenting on people's online streams and whatever. In the midst of that, I'm also still slowly but surely tweaking and improving my critical hits and fumbles table.
Yes.
And I had to add a whole new one. Will give a great idea of having I think also a flexible weapon fumble table.
Oh my gosh!
So I mean, because those are different than a
man,
rigid weapon.
That's crazy. See, the insanity that is Tim continues on.
And then of course it kind of meshes with my magic rules.
You have a magic fumble table for spellcasters too.
Yes, and that meshes with my nature of magic, sort of variant magic system. So those are all things I'm trying to work on.
So
I'm trying to get my daughter to do drawings of barbarian weapons for me.
She's very talented. I think yes. Let it be done. Absolutely.
Yes. I'm gonna stop feeding her until I get a couple pictures.
No, let's not. He was joking.
Yeah. I bought him pizza tonight. Come on.
So
that's what I got going on.
Awesome. Tomorrow night, instead of Thursday, instead of Christmas Eve, tomorrow night is our RPG night. We're going to probably more likely finish Clean Up in the Albarals, adventure number 897. If you watched on Thursday night, you know that it is. I took this right from the Duchy of Ernst Legends and Lore show. There's a wacko from House Terranor that's behind all this. He's been pushed from the Duchy into this border area, into Karastein's domain, and Karstein wants this individual dealt with. So that's basically what they need to do is, and he has these stone giants with him and hill giants and some loyalists and what other baddies. I foreshadowed some of them if you saw some of the pictures. So this will be it'll be interesting to see. Infinite Dimensions, our great newest 3D printer sponsor, with all these wonderful stuff. Of course, now the shoutouts are just dead. They're just not even popping up now. So I give up. Are not working. So there you go. Infinite Dimensions is the giveaway tomorrow night for STL files. All right, and then after that, Wednesday night. I got them out of order. You dumb EJ. All right, Greyhawk history leading to 576. That is Turmoil Between Crowns to the glossography. What happened to set up the glossography? I'm not an expert on this. David Leonard's going to join the show.
Thank God. Yeah.
I may ask another person who's on now that is an expert in Great Kingdom history. Who could that be to join the show as well if he's able to?
Who could that be?
Okay.
Yep.
So, sure, if you're around and you want to join up as well for this discussion, I would love to have you on again back. So if you're able to, and that would be Wednesday night's discussion, Greyhawk history leading to 576. Let me go back one. It's never that easy for me just to go, oh, I can go backwards because this thing doesn't go backward. Very nice special guest on, then we won't have another stream again until Sunday. Over the Christmas holiday. Very nice special guest, Mike Shea, Sly Flourish. We're going to talk DM's go-to references. He'll have his stack. I'll have my stack. And we'll just talk about what we do to prep and things. He's well known for multiple publications, including the Lazy DM Prep. And he's a huge, that's he, yeah. He has a Twitter following of 35,000 people, and it's been popular on YouTube, and he's just really getting into streaming. This is a good crossover. I am one of only 2 channels he recommends on his Twitch site, so I'm honored for that, and it's a good crossover for the 2 of us to get some 5e, crossover with old school, and mash it all together and talk about what we both do. And maybe you'll have some input as far as some questions for him or some things you do yourself. I think it'll be a great discussion on Sunday. That leads me to, that was going to be my year in review show. But when he said, yes, he's got some good stuff, doesn't he, Casey? I'm going to have a bonus show. Tentatively, Tuesday, December 29th, will be my Gabbin year in review. I do a year in review every year to talk about all the great things that happened. So instead of Sunday, I'm going to add another Gabbin on the Tuesday. And we may be playing Monday, so I may have streams Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the week between Christmas and New Year's. But that is going to be the year in review show, Gabbin 125. More than likely, it'll be that Tuesday. It'll be, notice the time, 9 o'clock, because I don't want to interfere with John's Blue Box game. So he'll raid into us. I already talked to John about that. So if John has his game that night, hopefully everything will be okay there. Yeah, so it'll be a great discussion, Scott, with Sly Flourish. And then Underdog Uprising, I hope to have a schedule out by next weekend that I'll start broadcasting it all. I got one streamer I'm trying to finalize the time slot with, but I have everyone else locked in trying to get that done, and then we'll go out to this. Reaper, Troll Lord are officially in. I hope to have other sponsors in, and plus we got all you people like Casey and Canadian and Cannibal all giving me stuff too. There's going to be a ton of great giveaways. So I'm trying there, Gitano. And these are all the streaming channels that I've said that they're going to participate. It's 8, but there'll be 2 on Lord Gazumba, so we're up to 9. It's 36 hours of content. We're going to, go Friday from like 8 a.m. to midnight, Saturday from 4 a.m. to midnight. It'll be a blast. Lastly, Virtual Greyhawk Adventures. I will. Thank you. Thank you, Troy. Virtual Greyhawk Adventures, we're almost completely ready to go on that schedule too. And Greyhawk Reborn just put their events in. We got people. If you want to participate, I can't. The shout's not working, so there's no point in me even trying at this point. Let me know, and I'll. We need RPG DMs. Whether you do it via Zoom, Discord, whatever, we need them. I want to get up to at least 50 events. That's the goal. We had 65 for Greyhawk Con, and I'd love to get. Yep, Casey has his BK tourney in. If you weren't part of that BK tourney during Greyhawk Con, you got another opportunity. He's going to rerun it. So if please sign up for that. There's events. Wiley's got an event in. There's a lot. Tim has an event in. Anna's got her seminar. I have a DM's Roundtable Thursday night. We have the Joust Saturday night. We have the Ask the Expert Sunday night. We have what's called Greyhawk After Dark Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights from midnight. This is Eastern time, midnight to 1 a.m., 11 to 12 on Central Time. Before our the New Zealand streamer, picks up 2 of those nights. I still have Saturday night in the middle of the night open. So I'll try and get someone for that. So that's what's going on. All right, let's do these giveaways. I'm gonna close this out. Hopefully this works now. Hopefully it's not. Let me just make sure that it's not my CloudBot that shut off again. No, that's not the CloudBot. All right, let me close this out. Closing entries out. First one will be. I'm going to do this in reverse, and there's a reason. Okay, I'm going to do this in reverse because if you Canadians are going to get a benefit here. I'm going to do this one first because if you Canadians win this, I'm going to give them the gift certificate. It's so hard to mail right now to Canada, okay, or to UK. So let me do this one first. The winner of the Hamlet reprint and the Lord Gazumba mousepad first. Here we go. This winner is Big Jim the Fourth. I think that's a first for you, Big Jim. Big Jim the Fourth. Are you a U.S.? Are you in the U.S.?
That's a great name.
You are U.S., right? Correct. Yeah. Okay. Can you whisper me your address, please? And I will send that out to you. Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations.
Big Jim the Fourth.
Congrats on that. Okay. The next 2 are going to be gift certificates from Troller Games, courtesy of Cannibal Troy. Here we go. Now these I don't have to worry because I'm just going to... awesome Canadian. Give him a sub too. Thank you so very much. The winner is number 1, Nagoya Joe. All right, Nagoya Joe, you are a regular. There you go. And you play in Anna's game, right?
Yes. Yep.
There you go. Awesome.
Yep, we had a good go this morning. Yep. Congratulations.
All right, Nagoya, just whisper me your email or your Discord, or connect with me via Discord, and I will get you that. Either tonight or tomorrow morning. All right, and then lastly, the final 3rd winner of another $25 Troller Game gift certificate is. It's going to be Casey. You want to bet? Coma 808. Coma 808. Are you on Coma 808? Let me check. Coma 808. Is Coma 808 on? Yes, Coma 808 is on. All right, there you go. So Coma 808, get me your 808. Is that Hawaii representing? Yes, there you go. Coma, I may have it, but just in case, whisper me your email address or your connect with me via Discord, and I will get you the code as well. So thank you all. We're going to raid someone new. I think it's Zeltaris under a new name.
Coma 808 is from Hawaii?
Well, that's awesome. If you
Mahalo.
are, that's great.
Yeah.
What island?
Yeah, because you were stationed there.
I lived on Oahu for 3 years.
Yes, he was stationed.
Right around from Waimea Bay.
It's 14 years you were there. Wow. All right, so we're going to raid into the Pyro Club. I think it's Zeltaris' game. I believe that Anne from Nightheart Gaming is also playing tonight. So yes, everyone have a. If I don't see you Monday or Wednesday, have a happy, Merry Christmas, please, or whatever you celebrate. But I'll see you tomorrow night, everyone, for a great giveaway from Infinite Dimensions as well. So all right, let me start this up. Thank you for a wonderful show. Thank you for a great stream and all the input. And let's see if I can do this right, because Jay hits wrong buttons all the time.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
and happy holidays and New Year's and Need Fest and everything, everybody.
All right, gonna raid into the Pyro Club. Awesome. 55. 10 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4. Dale, sure. Reach out to me if you can come on Legends of Lore Wednesday night, man. See you all soon. 56. I love the new music I have. Love it.